care of, as well as water harvesting. And that is why I'll be joined by Engineer Eric Muridhi Muga, who is a Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Sanitation and Irrigation. He'll be joining me here shortly so that we can talk about matters irrigation, water harvesting, etc., etc., etc. Do we even have the right policies to do water harvesting in the country? And the other day, the government said that Nairobi residents will start to get 140 million liters of water because of the, the Northern Collector Tunnel, which is now complete. We just want to take a look at that and much more coming up at exactly 7 moving forward. But then, she's here. Her name is Vivian Mtoto Wandegwa. Good morning.
Good morning, Victor, and a very good morning to each and every one of you who is tuned in on the show. It's a beautiful, bright Monday morning, and I hope that you have gotten up with just the right foot and ready to take on this new week. My name is Vivian Dagwa, as Victor has already mentioned. And today being a Monday, you know that we always have a segment dubbed Family Check. And today on Family Check, we'll be talking about safeguarding children and the youth during this holiday season. Of course, we know that children are off school at the moment and they will be having such a long holiday. What is the best way for you to ensure that your child is safeguarded while they are at home? That is what we will be discussing, and I will be having two very qualified ladies to talk about this topic. You definitely want to stay tuned for that at exactly 9 a.m. In the meantime, Mike Megwe is also here. So good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Vivian and team, and to everyone who is watching KBC Channel 1, you're watching Good Morning Kenya. Welcome to the program. A lot is in store for you. Being a Monday, today on Transformative Leaders, we are taking a very different approach. As the world looks forward to celebrating or marking the World Children's Day in 2 days' time, there's a need to focus on how we invest in the future of these kids. And one of the things that has been on the front line being advocated for is education for every child, because it gives opportunity to all of them. So that will be the premise of my conversation with two experts who will be joining me here on Good Morning Kenya, one of whom is Kennedy Owino, who is the Principal Children's Officer, National Council for Children Services, and also Jack Matika, who is a child protection expert. So you want to tune into that conversation and find out more about this. All right, in the meantime, how are you doing, Marie?
Well, Mike, and you?
I'm good, I'm good.
Okay. So top on the news this morning, the president bows to pressure and criticism by the Catholic bishop promising to resolve challenges in the healthcare and education, while the government settles a quarter of outstanding bills owed to health providers by the defunct NHIF. And the poor state of roads is blamed for contributing to accidents in the country. All that coming up in the news this morning, including sports. Let's begin right there, where President William Ruto has bowed to criticism by the Catholic bishops, saying he will ensure that government systems, including healthcare and education, are working for Kenyans. However, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, who spoke separately in Kirinyaga, asked the church to correct the government with respect. On his side, former Deputy President turned a government critic, that is Rigathi Gachagua, who spoke in Kajiado, said the government must accept criticism from the clergy. Give us a minor. Begins our bulletin this morning.
The Catholic bishop seems to have found new allies against their criticism by the president for calling out his government of unfulfilled promises.
When the government fails to fulfill its promises, particularly concerning payments to essential service providers, it harms vulnerable communities.
At a Sunday service at PCA Church Kerarapon in Kajiado North, in Kajiado County, former Deputy President turned a government critique, and his allies defended the clergy, saying the voice of the church is the voice of Kenyans and therefore must be respected.
Wengine walaumiwe wajibu. Mimi ni mtu sasa ya kuangalia. Hata Uhuru Kenyatta, president wetu jana alisema yana angalia TV, anasikiza radio. Hata mimi naangalia TV, nasikiza radio. Wacha wale wanaendesha wafanye nini? Lakini waheshimu viongozi wetu wa kidini.
Sentiments echoed by opposition leaders allied to Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka.
Wale viongozi wa kanisa walitusiwa. Tafadhali tunaomba rais na watu wake waombe msamaha kwa Mungu. Kwanza ndio waombe msamaha kwa wananchi.
Similar criticism came from a group of senators attending a church service in Kitui.
Sisi hata kama mimi mwenyewe nimechaguliwa na chama cha UDA na kwa hivyo mimi ni kwa upande wa serikali, lakini hatutakubali kamwe maaskofu wetu wakosewe heshima na
And so this tiff between the president and the Catholic bishops lingered around Soweto Catholic Church in Embakasi East in Nairobi, where President William Ruto graced the service.
Na kama kanisa pia kuna mambo ambayo tumeleta kwako kupitia maaskofu wetu, tukikusii uweze kuangalia hayo mambo kwa undani, uangazie uone vile utasaidia sio Wakristo pekee bali ni wananchi wote.
He, however, conceded and vowed to ensure smooth operations in the healthcare, education and other government systems.
Kwa yale mambo Papa Paroko amesema, yale alisema na viongozi wetu wa dini, mimi nimewaambia, we will work with every stakeholder to make sure that this affordable health, universal health coverage succeeds.
Hata barua ama salamu ulizopata rais juzi kutoka kwa mabishop wetu wa Katoliki, yote hayo tunakushukuru, you have taken them in your stride.
The president calling for patience as he focuses on delivering his campaign promises.
Hii Kenya lazima itabadilika. And I am determined to change this country. By the grace of God, this country is not going to remain the same. That we are going to deliver on food security. That we are going to deliver on affordable housing. That we are going to deliver on universal health.
His deputy, Professor Kithure Kindiki, who graced a service at AIPCA Church in Dia, Kirinyaga County, however, did not take the bishop's criticism lightly, calling for respect.
Utawala huu ama serikali iliyopo sasa haina vita vyovyote na kanisa. Sisi tunajua ya kwamba serikali za kiulimwengu, serikali za hapa ulimwenguni zinaongozwa na wanadamu. Na wanadamu saa zingine ile bidii yetu haikuangi kamili.
The government has been urged to expedite investigations into the alleged abduction of Dela Ward member of County Assembly, that is Yusuf Hussein Ahmed. The United Democratic Movement Party, led by Mandera Senator Ali Roba, is now demanding the arraignment of the missing MCA, if at all he is being held by the police. Roba says the pace with which the investigations are being conducted is not comforting the family of the missing leader. Dela Ward MCA Yusuf Hussein Ahmed has been missing since September the 13th, 2024. Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja has in the recent past denied government involvement in abductions of Kenyans.
The incident comes at a time when Kenyans were assured by President Ruto himself that under his administration such abductions and extrajudicial act would be a thing of the past. It is unacceptable and deeply disheartening to witness actions that are so starkly violate this assurance. This unlawful abduction strikes at the core of our nation's values and undermines the fundamental principles of justice, transparency, and the rule of law. It is widely suspected that the government agencies may be involved in this reprehensive act. We call on the Inspector General of Police, the Director of Criminal Investigation, and the National Intelligence Service, NIS, and other agencies that may be holding Honorable Yusuf to immediately bring him to court. If there are any allegations against him, he should be allowed to face them through the proper channels of justice. This party stands for fairness and due process, and we demand nothing less.
Now, Kenya Party leader Martha Karua has officially launched her memoir, Against the Tide, renowned for her unwavering dedication to justice, democracy and good governance. Karua's memoir reveals her personal and professional challenges, victories and invaluable lessons that have shaped her extraordinary journey.
It was a gathering filled with warmth and admiration as colleagues, family and friends came together to celebrate NARC Kenya Party leader Martha Karua during the launch of her memoir, Against the Tides. Speakers took to the stage to describe Karua as a self-driven and resilient woman who has inspired many through her life and work.
Martha is this one of my professors. Isa Shivji always shares with me the wisdom that patriots do not retire when the struggle continues. I believe Mother has heeded this advice as well. She pledges to us and the nation our continued quest for change.
She did well on the bench. We were appearing before her. She was a good magistrate. Then at that time, members of the bench were very stiff people. They were stiff, almost scary. But Martha made the environment a bit comfortable.
The way I saw the self-driven Martha in school going against the tides doesn't shock me, because she was self-driven, she was resilient.
While reflecting on her book, Martha Karua expressed hope that it will encourage readers and present her authentic self to the public.
And I do hope sincerely that the book will encourage you. It will also give you areas where you say, no, this one, no. So you will avoid the mistakes that I made.
She also revealed that the memoir took about 9 years to complete, a testament to her commitment to detail and truth.
It took about 9 years because you write, you let it stay in the back room, then you wake up and you think about it again and you start writing. But for some reason, during the demonstrations of Azimio last year, we would come from Kula tear gas and I would feel inspired to sit and do a chapter.
Against the Tide.
In Against the Tides, Karua chronicles her journey from her humble beginnings in Kirinyaga to becoming a pioneering lawyer, human rights advocate and politician. The book provides an intimate look at her remarkable ascent to the highest levels of leadership.
Farmers have been encouraged to consider integrating agroecology in farming to reduce the cost of production. Food and Agriculture Organization agronomist, that is Jimmy Mweri, says agroecology reduces the use of synthetic fertilizer and other chemicals in food production, lowering farmers' expenditure that constitute a large percentage of food prices in the country.
Experts say sustainable agricultural practices such as agroecology will ensure there is round-the-year agricultural production at minimum costs. Food and Agricultural Organization says it targets to extend cheap inputs to over 40,000 farmers in 5 counties across the country to practice agroecology.
The importance of us using less of our chemical inputs is on very many fronts. So the easy advantage is that on the health side of it, okay? First of all, we are reducing the chemical residues on the crops that we're using. So especially for those who are exporting to European markets, for example, we have the European Good Agricultural Practice, EU GAPS. They are very sensitive in what we're exporting. And if there are thresholds of chemical residues in those foods, then we destroy that market and they refuse or they reject the produce that come from such farms. So it is very important that we reduce our chemical inputs and go the organic way, so that we can also take care of not only the environment, but also the health of those people who are using or consuming the food products that we produce from the farm.
The 3-year 1.4 billion shillings EU-funded program will see farmers trained and facilitated to start sustainable farming projects, including organic farming.
Whatever you are seeing here, huyu mkulima ambaye tulikuja hapa tukamfunza, mwanzo alikuwa anafanya kilimo kingine ambacho kabisa iko kinaambatana sana na agroecology principles, lakini through this education ambayo tumekuwa tunapeana kwa ground, inaleta mabadiliko kidogo kwa wakulima.
Agroecology is tipped to reduce the use of synthetic fertilizer and other chemicals in food production, lowering the cost of food production.
Hatuendi madukani sana. Licha wakati mwingine tunaweza enda madukani, lakini sio kama mwanzo. Tukiwa na ile, hata kama hatuna fedha, tunaweza tukatumia ile mbolea yetu yenye tunajitengenezea na mazao yetu tu yanakuwa sawa.
Agroecology is also expected to reduce horticulture interceptions in key international markets due to high residue levels.
It's very important that we reduce our chemical inputs and go the organic way, so that we can also take care of not only the environment, but also the health of those people who are using or consuming the food products that we produce from the farm.
The agroecology program targets to boost food production in the counties of Bungoma, Homa Bay, Migori, Kakamega and Nandi.
Health Cabinet Secretary Dr. Deborah Barasa now says at least a quarter of the outstanding bills owed to health service providers by the defunct National Health Insurance Fund has been cleared. Speaking in West Pokot, Dr. Barasa said another 2.5 billion shillings will be disbursed to the health service providers by the end of the coming week. NHIF owes health service providers at least 19 billion shillings, a pending bill that is threatening the transition to Social Health Authority.
Health Cabinet Secretary Dr. Deborah Barasa was in West Pokot County Referral Hospital to check on progress of the enrollment of Kenyans to Social Health Authority. Dr. Barasa confirmed that 5 billion shillings had already been paid to health service providers owed by the defunct National Health Insurance Fund, and a further 2.5 billion shillings will be disbursed by the end of the coming week. The Cabinet Secretary assuring Kenyans the government will resolve the challenges facing the rollout of the new health scheme.
Regarding the NHIF bill, we had a bill of 19 billion and we have been able to pay 5 billion, and another 2.5 billion is coming in the coming weeks. And by the end of this month of November, all the contracted facilities will be receiving their first Social Health Authority payment. And so we want to hear the feedback from you. How has the experience been?
Kapenguria County Referral Hospital, which serves patients from neighboring Uganda, South Sudan and Ethiopia, has already registered patients under SHA system, with services being delivered across various departments. Dr. Barasa acknowledged lack of civic education in remote areas on health insurance as a challenge facing implementation of SHA.
And when we come up with interventions, part of it we should give targets to our political elite, targets in terms of community sensitization and how many people are being registered. Because as we engage and interact, we see that services are actually being offered and people are actually being seen under the Social Health Authority, but the challenge has been the sensitization component.
She assured that expectant women can access services under Linda Mama program, contrary to claims that it had been scrapped.
Kevin Washira reporting there. Now, just why did the advisory board of the Santiago Network on Loss and Damage pick Geneva as the host of the Secretariat bypassing Nairobi, despite the Kenyan capital scoring higher than the Swiss capital? Now, that is the question African negotiators are battling with at the COP29, even as climate finance continues to divide the global north and the global south. The AGN and the African civil society have vowed to challenge the decision of the board while fighting to have climate finance to the Global South designated as grants but not investments. O'Brien Kimani has more from COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan.
Well, the painstaking and the difficult process of negotiating a COP29 deal continues here in Baku. This is going to be a painstaking process, as I told you. It has always been. It's never easy here at every COP, and that is exactly what is happening here. Countries are taking positions, and of course, party interest is what is reigning supreme here. On the 25th of March this year, the Advisory Board of the Santiago Network on Loss and Damage held its first meeting in Geneva, Switzerland, picking Geneva as the host of the Secretariat of the SNLD. The decision shocked many in the climate circles, as Nairobi had emerged as a front-runner to host the critical secretariat that will be in charge of making important decisions on the loss and damage funds.
We celebrated when the Loss and Damage Fund was established. We went on to experience a secretariat that has been formed. And one of us, Ibrahim Sheikh, was appointed the executive director of the Loss and Damage Fund. Just yesterday, he was interviewed that from the pledges of $700 million, how much has been redeemed? From the $700 million to the Loss and Damage Fund, he could not respond and give one figure that this has been redeemed.
Nairobi emerged as the winner according to the assessment that was done by a technical report by the UNOPS UNDRR on the cost effectiveness and cost benefit analysis of various locations around the world. The Kenyan capital outpaced Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, Bonn in Germany, Brussels in Belgium, and Geneva in Switzerland.
By and by, the people who are supposed to take responsibility are abandoning us into negotiations. So in other words, it is us, the South, who are in negotiations. Those who have caused the problem are running away.
The advisory board disregarded the opinion of the technical committee, picking Geneva without any explanation. The African group of negotiators are further calling on the global north to recognize the special needs and circumstances of the African continent and advance the much-needed climate finance with grants of not less than $1.3 trillion annually. This comes as the meeting in Baku entered the critical stage, with technical committees yet to agree on the much-awaited draft text.
Let us safeguard our future and the future of the generations to come. It is only that when it is demonstrated here that we are going to be sure that we are together in this match.
On Saturday night, the scheduled closing session was delayed for 5 hours as diplomats tried to find an agreement on the way forward. Some of the issues dividing negotiators include cuts on emissions, who should contribute to the climate finance, who should be eligible to receive the funding, whether it should be entirely grant-based or public-private investment, among other issues. We're not leaving this venue until the Fat Lady sings. We'll continue to give you daily updates on what is happening here. Today is a Sunday, and of course, delegates are taking a rest before they resume to this task of crafting a COP29 deal. O'Brien Kimani is my name. Thank you for joining us from the city of Baku in Azerbaijan.
Thank you, O'Brien Kimani, for that report. And 2 weeks after the promotion of Professor Kithure Kindiki, Kenyans are still waiting for the nomination of the next Interior Cabinet Secretary, considered one of the most critical dockets in the executive. The Interior Ministry next substantive Cabinet Secretary is expected to, among others, steer the country's efforts in restoring public confidence in law enforcement. Here is Telio Marco with a look into the 2 years and the probable entry that awaits the next security boss.
It has been 2 years of mixed fortunes for the Interior Ministry. Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki, who served twice as the Cabinet Secretary, defended his scorecard at Harambee House. For 2 weeks, Kenyans have been waiting to know who will replace Professor Kithure Kindiki in a mini rearrangement of President William Ruto's cabinet. 2024 has been one of the most challenging years for the Interior Ministry, stemming from the deadly protests in June and the subsequent cases of forced disappearances. But has it been all gloom for the Ministry of Interior? There has somewhat been relative calm in the banditry-prone areas of the North Rift and the northeastern region, thanks to Operation Maliza Uhalifu.
The infrastructure that had sustained banditry for over 4 decades has been suppressed and dismantled. Scores of schools in Baringo, Samburu, Elgeyo Marakwet, Turkana, West Pokot, and Laikipia counties have been reopened.
The ministry is also boasting of the ongoing efforts to empower the police service by modernizing it to ensure it is better equipped to handle diverse challenges. The next cabinet secretary is expected to oversee the investment of some 29.4 million shillings in the police equipment modernization program over the next 3 years. The new equipment will also bolster the counter-terrorism efforts in the northeastern region and the Boni Enclave in Lamu County. The new Interior Cabinet Secretary will also steer the implementation of the recommendations of the National Task Force on Police Reforms. The report identified 271 areas of reform in the police service, 210 for prisons, and 117 for the National Youth Service. Also in the in-tray is the enhancement of collaboration with the public benefits organizations, a process that had been set rolling by Professor Kithure Kindiki. Being one of the most critical dockets, the Ministry of Interior has often come under sharp scrutiny from the public.
We look at sports, where Ulinzi men's handball team wrapped their weekend on a high when they beat NYS 42-22, that is, in an entertaining Kenya Handball League match played at the Ulinzi complex here in Nairobi. Now, Ulinzi took an early lead through Solomon Kanalewa and held on to win the first half 24-11. In the second half, NYS offered title resistance as Ulinzi ran away with the well-deserved victory of 42-22. In other matches, Hunters secured a 25-20 win over Heatwave, while Daystar University registered a 49-16 victory over Mountain Primes. Well, that's where we wrap the news this morning. Thank you so much for your company, as always. My name is Marie Yambo, and I want to give room to my colleague, that is Victor Lo, who will be taking you through the rest of the Good Morning Kenya, together with the rest of the team on Eye on Politics.
Kwanza hatujui ni akina nani na nia yao hasa walikuwa ni nini. Usamweka kama mfereji. Lulu, niambia fanya nini, maana watu washaanza kwenda zao. Tutakalosema mniache mimi nitamjibu. Sawa jamaa.
Wataka kujitoa. Nani asiyejua kwamba wewe ndiye uliyepanga haya yote yatekelezwe?
Nini? Au labda aweza kuwa amepanga na wale wagongaji kisu wa mbunge ili uonekane uongozi wako na dosari.
Change is here.
And this shift is about many things. The country's shifting.
This is Kenya's vision, the journey to development.
KBC is going to be the home to realize, to discuss, to share ideas about this shift and to know where our country is going.
We dissect the rumors. We clarify the perceptions. A clear picture of the status quo. change is indeed here.
Everything is shifting.
The Shift.
All right, good morning, welcome back. It's 4 minutes past 7 a.m. on this bright and beautiful Monday morning. My name is Victor. Now let's shift gears and talk about issues to do with water irrigation and sanitation in the country. It is one of the biggest dockets, ministries handling different dockets. There is 3 of them. That is a big one for that matter. And this particular morning, it's a rainy season and most parts of the country is actually receiving rainfall, which is quite enough to give us some food, all right? And we can also do water harvesting, but at the same time, sanitation is quite important. Let's talk about that for a moment. And in studio, I'm joined by the Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Sanitation, Water and Irrigation, Engineer Eric Mureithi Muga, joining me in studio. Waziri, good morning and welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Good morning, Victor, and thank you for having me today.
Karibu sana.
It is a pleasure
Karibu.
to sit in your good office.
Asante sana.
Really nice studio.
Asante, we are trying. This is where we belong. How is Kenya doing? Let me start by that question. I usually ask my guests in studio, how is Kenya doing?
You have to be more particular because Kenya is broad.
It's a broad question.
It's a broad country.
Yes.
But I will answer it on matters water. Kenya is a water scarce country. We have enough water, especially when it rains, and when it is dry,
yes,
we have a challenge. The per capita is 454. Well, we are supposed to be considered a stable country. Everyone is supposed to be, the least figure is 1,000. So clearly we are not even a half. So no matter challenge, and we have to take it at a stride. These are not problems you can solve in a day. But with proper planning, Victor, it is doable.
It is doable?
Yeah.
So do we have enough water in the country?
Not yet, as we speak. But we have a plan that by the year 2030, when I talk of a plan, I mean we need to invest and ensure that, as a ministry, we're working to ensure that by the year 2030, every Kenyan can access water, which is enshrined in our constitution as an economic and social right. To achieve that, we have an investment vehicle, just, planning.
Yes.
Called NAWASIP, National Water and Sewerage Implementation Plan. It is a plan, it's like a strategy to a tune of almost 995 billion Kenya shillings. And that is not a mean ask, considering the amount of money we get from the exchequer on an annual basis. This year alone, our budget from the exchequer for the financial year 2025 is less than 20 billion. And that's why now we have to really lobby and engage our development partners. I'm talking about the banks that have supported us for a long time: World Bank, African Development Bank, Danida, and so many, to name but a few. And wherever I have been actually marketing this too much. Because if you look at that NAWASIP in this case, and we have a NISIP from the side of irrigation, you realize that we have a plan, but the plan will require funding.
Yeah.
It is my job do that, to look for funds. So I don't take it
You
lightly.
said you only have 20 billion shillings.
Less than
20
from
billion.
the GOK.
Out of what the expected amount?
Victor, I talked about an investment vehicle of 995 billion in 6 years from today.
Yes.
From that, we have almost 450 from our development partners. GOK almost 200. World Bank is funding us in a program called K-Wash to a tune of almost 250 million. But we have a deficit of more than 500. And this, if you do simple mathematics, like this year on development, I'm talking about development budget from the exchequer, from the financial year, this financial year, we are talking about less than 20 billion. So for us to raise the remaining 500, if you propagate that for the next, say, 6 years, that is 120 billion. We will be short 380 billion. And that is where we are really engaging our development partners to help us. Because if we actualize that by the year 2030, we can promise Kenyans water at their doorstep. It is a bold plan and ambitious plan. But as a country, we have to think bold and we have to think ambition.
Yeah.
That is the only way to solve our problems. In Kenya, Victor, we depend on both groundwater, which is what I will actually talk about today, and also surface water. On surface water, these are the rivers we have, the key rivers. You know, in Western we have Kinanzoia, we have Nyando, we have Mara. When you come to this central and eastern side, we have the main rivers Atana and Athi.
Yeah.
When you go to northeastern, we have Ewasonyiro River, and the river that comes from Ethiopia cuts into Kenya, where there's some bit of irrigation, and then heads to Somalia. Now, these surface rivers that we actually have cannot sustain us as a country. But we have the advantage of rains that come in 2 seasons. And by our average rainfall ranges to about between 200 millimeters annual to 1800. And the weather people have told us that the average is 600.
Yeah.
This is one of the greatest resources we have as a country. But unfortunately, all this water ends up into our inland lakes or the ocean, Indian Ocean, and causing havoc on its way, as you've seen last year.
Does that worry you, CS?
That troubles me, not only worries me, because Kenyans are looking at us to give solutions to those problems. And I've reiterated before that the solution to this problem, Victor, is simple. Storage, water harvesting. Storage and water harvesting. To store water and to harvest water are two different things. Are the same thing, but if you look at it from different perspectives, you realize that if we can only tap that water to avoid it getting into our oceans and lakes, our problems are solved. Also on food security. Human-animal conflicts is solved. And in a manner of speaking, we would be a very, very stable country.
Yeah. And yes, when you talk about water harvesting and storage, that is about sustainable water resource management, because that is exactly. It's broad.
Yeah.
But let's come back to it. When you talk about harvesting and storage, a common mwananchi will have, let's say, 20,000, 10,000 liters of water for their domestic use, etc. But then now, this one calls for a bigger spectra in terms of water management and storage for the country.
Yes.
We have got different dams in the country.
Yes.
CS. We have Twake, Umar, Sigiri, Mwache, etc., etc.
Yes.
And some of these dams have a lot of contentious stories behind them. What are you going to tell Kenyans that right now we have got some rains, across the country, and you're talking about storage and harvesting, and these dams are not playing their key role, to harvest and store?
That's a good question, Victor.
Yeah.
I have met very contentious questions on these dams. I think one of the oldest and the most contentious one is a dam by the name Itare. Are you familiar with that dam?
Yes.
Itare?
Yes.
There was Arol and Kimorel. Those are under Kerio Valley Development Agency, KVDA. That is not in my ministry. So, on Itare, which is specifically in my ministry, this is the dam that was started in the year 2017 and stalled in the year 2018.
Why?
At 27%.
Why?
There were some financing problems, engagement issues on ground, which are normal. There were discussions on the contractor going bankrupt along the process, and that project stalled in the year 2018. Since then, the contractor took the proponent, that is the employer, which is Government of Kenya plus Central Rift Valley. And this process, just the other day, was sorted out of court. It was in an international arbitration process. When this was sorted, now we are back to engage the contractor to see how we can unlock the project. I think as we speak, there is a implementation team that has been formed, encompassing all the stakeholders. That is the ministry, the Office of HOPS, Head of Public Service, Central Rift Valley Waterworks Development Agency, and now they are trying to unlock the process and look for a financing formula for the contractor to return to work. That is a work in progress. Secondly, you have talked of a dam by the name, many dams along. I'll start with the dams on
Thwake,
right. which is in Imakweni.
Yeah.
Thwake is a flagship project under the government of Kenya. Under this administration, Thwake is key. The people of Makueni, the people of Kitui, the people of Machakos partly, their water challenges have been perennial, year in, year out.
Yeah.
Thwake, as we speak, actually after 1 month upon my appointment to this office, I went to Thwake trying to unlock it. The contractor, the embankment has been done. However, the contractor had slowed down because of pending certificates unpaid. The good thing is Thwake is a dam being funded by the government of Kenya and African Development Bank. And the embankment is done. The dam is at 90%, above 90% complete. What remains is concreting of the face of the dam. You see, if you don't go, Thwake is a rock-filled dam.
Yeah.
So at the surface that actually is in contact with water, you have to concrete that surface for permeability, etc. That is the section that is remaining. And that section is very crucial because when the rains come and this section is not properly concreted, you risk to damage the structures that have been put in place to retain that wall. It is a 1.5 kilometer wall. It is supposed to hold more than 660 million cubic of water. That water is enough to feed Makueni.
Do you have a timeline for its completion?
Yeah, we have a timeline.
Okay.
I am looking to complete this dam by the mid next year. So, when I came in, I've engaged the contractor, I've had meetings with the consultant to unlock that deadlock. And you see, this is a dam that was awarded in the year 2016, 2015.
Yeah.
2016, actually. It was supposed to be completed by last year, but they have now an extension of time up to December.
And that is quite expensive to the taxpayer, CS.
That is quite expensive,
Yeah.
I agree. Because some of the claims the contractor has raised is that the contract allows for variation of prices. That is simply to say, it allows for adjustments to inflation. It allows for adjustments to hiking of prices of steel, cement, etc. And the contractor is claiming to a tune of almost 5.6 variation of prices and cost adjustments, billion. At it, the world dam experts, you know, when we that's a massive dam, you don't risk with it.
Yeah.
When they assessed that dam, they requested for some additional tests, especially at the river. You know, Dwake is at the confluence of two rivers. There is River Athi and there is Dwake River. So that dam is at the confluence of two rivers. At that confluence, at the bed of the river, during construction, they realized that the geological condition was very weak, of the soil formation was very weak. That brought up a variation of, so you call it a variation in the contract.
Yes.
That means additional works have to be incurred. This dam was meant to be 77.5 meters high from the riverbed. Imagine, 77.5 meters high. But when it rained and they realized there is need to impound more water, they agreed to raise that wall by 3 meters. So the actual height of the dam is 80.5 meters. Imagine 1.5 meters. It's a thing of beauty. 1.5 kilometers wall across, very broad. That brought up another variation. Now, when you increase the height of the dam, there is the possibility of water spilling from the sides because the impounding area now has to hold more water. That necessitated, to prevent water from pouring outside the walls, on the sides of the walls, something we call saddle dams. Those are some other kind of dams just to ensure that water does not spill off unintended. And that brought another variation. The total cost of these variations are coming to about 4.2 billion.
Yes.
That is phase one of Dwake Dam. I've engaged African Development Bank. We have had a discussion. As a ministry, we are raising a cabinet memo to appraise all stakeholders on the same. Because the more that dam stays unconcreted, that phase, the contractor will claim more damages when it rains. Because the moment it rains, the unconcreted phase starts dissipating into the water.
So let me get your word.
Yes.
By mid next year, Dwake Dam should be done and completed.
Yeah. If the cost, if we get that funding, because I've engaged African Development Bank by the end of this year, all remains is concreting that wall and completing some spillway that is ongoing as we speak. Actually, as we speak, the contractor is on ground.
Okay. There is this other dam, Umar Dam, which stalled for close to 10 years. And in January this year, the government revived its construction. The project has to continue. That project was to cost 2 billion shillings.
You're right.
Another controversial project here.
Yes.
Under your docket.
Yes.
Tell me something about it. What's the progress? And is this money also ballooning from 2 billion shillings because of the status of any other factors that should be remaining constant?
Victor, Umar Dam is funded by the government of Kenya. This is a dam that was supposed to cost 1.96, say almost 2 billion, as you said. The dam started in January going on, and it is at 73% completion. Now, as of this year, last year, we have a budget of 250 million. I'll tie this with another dam so that I answer a question I think you might bring up going forward.
Go ahead.
There are two dams three dams that are being funded by the GOK, purely, no development partners. And that makes it very, very challenging to maneuver. One of them is a dam called Soinkoru. The second dam is Siyu Murunyi. That is in West Pokot. That dam, and this dam by the name Uma. Now, I'll tie Siyu Murunyi with Uma Dam. Siyu Murunyi is almost 80% complete.
Yeah.
And the ministry has put 900 million this year, 900 million to complete Siyu Murunyi. As we speak, if you check our budget estimates in the financial year 2024-2025, Siyu Murunyi has 900 million. But it requires an additional 500 million to complete, which we are hoping when supplementary 2 comes, we can load that, because that dam has been on the work since 2017.
Yeah.
Dams funded by the government of Kenya face the challenge of funding most of the times. And whenever there's that delay, the government runs into extra costs of claims by contractors, litigation, and all this becomes a burden to mwananchi, as you've said. So my target is, and the plan is, put another estimate of 500 million into our budget from the government of Kenya, supplementary 2, to complete Siyu Murunyi by mid next year.
500 million?
500 million.
Okay.
Already it has been allocated 900 million. It required 1.4 billion to complete. If you go to that site today, works are ongoing, and the contractor is working on that deadline to finish the work by next year. Now, this year, to answer your question on Uma, in the current financial budget, Uma has been allocated a budget of 250 million shillings. Now,
is the work ongoing?
As we speak, work is ongoing. The contractor is returning to work.
Okay.
Now, and I'm planning to visit this by the end of this year. I have not had a chance to go here yet because of time constraints. Once we complete Siyu Murunyi, we shift all our resources to Uma Dam. So that now, instead of splitting the way we have been splitting Siyu Murunyi and Uma, all those resources shift to Uma Dam.
Yeah.
And that is how we unlock from 73% where we stand currently to finish it up by the end of next year. That will also depend on Treasury, because if we give the estimates and finally don't get the money, because this is purely government of Kenya funded, then we'll have the same challenge.
You know, CS, you're talking about some huge amounts of money here.
Yeah.
And, you know, these variations are subject to additional costs, etc., depending on the, you know, prevailing circumstances. But then now, what is this magic stick that you have that you're going to use to complete these dams that have stalled for years? And let me say this, some of your predecessors failed to tackle.
There's no magic stick.
There must be.
It is a matter of planning. I'm a logical man, very pragmatic. If, as I said, if Siyu Murunyi requires 1.4 billion to complete, and I already have 0.9 billion, I only need what? 0.5 billion to complete. I will load that on supplementary bill, on supplementary estimates number 2. That is upcoming. Now, those resources, once I clear with, I'm taking them one dam at a time. Once I clear with Siyu Murunyi, I will shift the attention to Uma. Uma is 73%. It's a 2 billion project. 2 billion. So if I can load 0.5 every supplementary budget, that means in a year I can load 1 billion.
Yeah.
And it is 73% complete. So the remaining percentage is 27%. So that means if we get the funding from the exchequer, we can complete Siyu Murunyi and Uma. There is no magic stick. It is a matter of planning.
Yeah.
Especially on government-funded dams. The dam where we have a big challenge is Soinkoru. Soinkoru is a 20 billion project that stalled. Let me give you the exact date. In the year 2018, 2023. And the main challenge here, Victor, is funding again. 20 billion is not a mean ask, especially if the budget from the exchequer is less than 20 billion a year for the entire ministry. I'm talking of water, sanitation, and irrigation. We are starting a conversation to find blended financing for this term. Because every day that passes, the contractor is claiming charges. So we are planning to have a meeting with the contractor and see whether we can come to an amicable understanding as we advertise this and look for blended financing to solve it. Otherwise, if you are to load 1 billion shillings or 0.5 million, which maybe that's what you can get as a ministry to allocate to that dam, it will take 40 years.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Let's take a break.
Thank you.
Because I know we still have a lot to talk about. And when it comes to the issue of, sanitation, water, harvesting and storage, it's broad.
Very broad.
But Kenyans really need to understand, because when you talk about these dams, they are so contentious and we need water.
Definitely.
We need water.
Great.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back with more. CS, Engineer Eric Murithi Muga joining me in studio. We'll come back shortly after this. Stay with us.
Thank you so much.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
All right, with Cabinet Secretary Eric Murithi Muga, Cabinet Secretary for Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. Today we are talking matters water, because water is life, CS, right? Water is life. In fact, all our cups are, there's, coffee, water, so water is life.
I'm on water.
Exactly. Actually, he is drinking hot water, clearly, because he's the Cabinet Secretary of Water. Okay, preaching water and drinking water, I like that. Okay, so let's come back and talk briefly about Mwache Dam, which is also, has a bit of some story behind it. Quickly take us through what is happening behind Mwache Dam, and perhaps if you can give us a timeline on when this will be completed and we start enjoying this precious commodity.
Mwache Dam is a game changer in the coast region. Actually, as of last week on Friday, the Committee on Implementation, the Parliamentary Committee on Implementation, had invited us to give a status of Mwache Dam. Mwache Dam is in Kinango constituency in Kwale County. Now, to connect why Mwache Dam is key, I have to relate the bulk supply of the coast region. Water in the coast region mostly supplied from Baricho well fields. Those well fields are on River Athi in Kilifi County. That water comes all the way to Kilifi town. It goes to Malindi. Some of it find its way to Lamu. That water is pumped all the way to Mombasa, to 3 tanks called Gutatu tanks. From the other side, to supply Mombasa, another source is Mzima Springs. Water comes from Mzima Springs, transmitted all the way to Mombasa.
Yeah.
And that water is also shared to Kwale. Kwale gets its water from boreholes, Marere, pipeline, and also they have some boreholes called Tiwi boreholes. In the coast region, the location of Mwache, where it's situated, it's supposed to provide the people of Mombasa with water that is 186,000 meter cubic a day. Mwache as a dam will impound, that is the storage, more than 136 million cubic liters of water. This is a dam that is funded by World Bank and Government of Kenya. It is one of its kind in the country. It's a roller compacted dam. That is, other dams are either rock filled, made of earth dams. This one is a matter of concrete compressed. It's a concrete wall, literally. This dam started in the year 2017, 2018. That's when the conversation started. But the actual commencement, the main challenge is when constructing a dam, Victor, is land. Mwache is supposed to cover more than 4,800 acres of land. And this is compulsory acquisition by the government. But our development partners do not pay for the land. The government of Kenya sorts out the land. We call them RAP issues because there's land.
This sounds all looks like a white elephant. When you talk about these dams and when they started and they installed, this is a white elephant, Bonasias, because now some of them started way back in 2017, many years ago.
Victor, that is where you are wrong. These are not white elephants. I would request you one day when you're on your way to Mombasa to make a stop at Mwache. We're in the process. The contractor started works. The percentage is 18% as we speak. There are 3 check dams. There are 2 check dams in this dam.
Yes.
Levels of dams. First level is called upper check dam. The second one is called a lower check dam.
Yes.
Then there's the main dam. The reason for having 2 check dams, that means those are actually walls that hold, like lower check dam holds like 8 million cubic. That lower check dam is meant, it is in a the catchment is very eroded. We need to control siltation on the main dam. So we are doing, under this package, we are doing lower check dam and the main dam. The lower check dam is supposed to hold the soil. The bigger check dam, the main dam is supposed to hold the water. This dam, when we start pouring, especially the main dam, it will go on day and night for 18 months. Now, what is the plan of sorting out the RAP issues? As we speak, the RAP was coming to phase 1, was almost 4.6 billion. We are talking about shrines here. The World Bank is very keen on safeguards and a disturbance of livelihoods. So we have a consultant, a livelihood restoration consultant. We have our social safeguards team, the RAP and PAP people on ground. These people quantified the total RAP via the confirmation of we don't just do these things ovyo kienyeji. We use National Land Commission. They are the people who confirm the acreage, they confirm titles, parcels of land, and the RAP, including shrines, came to a tune of 4.6 billion. As we speak, we have paid more than 2.1 billion. 2.5 billion. The balance is 2.1 billion. How are we handling this? Because we have been paying in phases. There was phase 1, in 2 words, there's one called Mavumbo, and phase 2, and phase 3. Because we didn't have 4.6 billion. The government didn't have 4.6 billion to pay all the people. So we are paying where the work is going on. And that was a challenge There was even a summon by the parliament to discuss the same. Now, we need 2 billion to complete do the RAP. Why do we need to finish the RAP before starting the main concreting?
Okay.
Because in case of any challenge, when this is a roller compacted, reinforced concrete that is being compacted, the moment you start pouring, the mixers, the batching plants will work continuously for 18 months. Because the moment you stop, in case of any disturbances, you introduce a weakness in that wall.
So what is the timeline for Mwache?
The timeline for Mwache is by 2027, that dam is supposed to be completed.
All right. So what is the government's strategic plan? In all this, do we have a strategic plan or, on your table, the government's strategic plan to ensure that all these things are well taken care of, water harvesting, storage, and, management is intact?
In general?
Yes.
Now, I think we will also appeal to Kenyans. Water storage, we need to start looking at water storage in a broader view. The government is actively doing more than 29 dams, small, their sizes,
20?
Almost 29, are ongoing. And some are almost completing. These are small dams that you in the villages, etc. We are doing more than 1,500 water pans. But you see, that is not the long game for us.
Yeah.
Water pans after every 3 years. If I send you to a town like Garissa or northeastern Kenya, water pans that were done 6 years or 7 years from today, because of siltation, barely hold half of their capacity. The long game, Victor, is actual large dams. Secondly, water storage should not be only a government thing. It is something that we are supposed to inculcate in ourselves. Civic education is very key. Because look at Nairobi. I'll give you an example of a town that you are well familiar with. When it rains here at your studios, what happens? In the next 3 minutes, your drains are full of water.
Yeah.
That water meets with the water with other drains, maybe from Upper Hill and yet to Nairobi River. So, in 20 minutes, the level of Nairobi River rises. And that water is on its way to where? To coast. Correct? And we are still, Nairobi, have the challenge of dry boreholes. To get water, Nairobi today, you have to go to depths of 200, 300 meters below the ground.
Okay.
While we have green spaces within town, we have schools, primary and secondary schools, we have universities within town that have fields. We are supposed to invest in conjunction with county governments on a strategy that is, we call it nature-based solutions to groundwater recharge and ensuring resilience in the long run. Imagine if that water that is leaving your roofs in KBC is either stored in an underground tank or directed to a green space whereby it is given 30 minutes contact time to percolate.
Okay. So, the ministry is actually, your ministry is broad. So what are you doing, based with the communities around some of these areas or across the country to actually sensitize and even teach Kenyans on the possible ways of water storage, before we go national? What are you doing with even the local leaders or local authorities in different parts of the country?
Actually, in the ministry, we have started a program called household water harvesting. Apart from us helping you do the water pans in your farms where we can, because of budgeting constraints, through NIA, National Irrigation Authority, through National Water Harvesting and Storage Authority, we are sensitizing Kenyans, and that's where I'm also sitting here, to do their small pans at homes in their small capacities.
Yes.
Every effort counts. All we need is to ensure that this water does not end up in our oceans.
I see.
Either this water seeps. The moment doesn't have to be a big thing. Just give that water a contact time. For example, we have a national park here, correct? The national park, when the water, when it rains, this water, because of No barrier at the edges, it just runs through our drains. Imagine if you held that water for 1 hour. Water harvesting is not a complex thing. It's a simple thing with ripple effect of combined effort. And that is what I'm advocating for, because as we speak, the government cannot do all storages at a go. The long game, as I said, for our food security, look at what happens in northeastern when it rains and the lower Tana. Too much water headed, causing flooding, headed to Indian Ocean. But to do one dam, proper dam, takes almost between 10 to 20 billion. So as we do the small ones that we have, and as we progress to finish the ones we have, imagine that problem can be solved by us, the Nairobi people, by just in your small compound, just do a small embankment along your lawns, and just hold that little water. It doesn't matter how little it is, for 1 hour, seeps down.
So your ministry is busy as we speak?
The ministry is very busy.
So yes, you talked about the National Irrigation Authority.
Yes.
And the authority actually is, implementing several projects. Let us talk about, which includes Moya Irrigation Project.
Yes.
Bura Irrigation Rehabilitation Project, Bura Irrigation Project, National Expanded Irrigation Program, etc., including Turkana Irrigation Project and all that.
Yes.
What are the development and some of the progress of these, projects under NIA?
NIA is responsible for irrigation. More so, the ministry focuses on. We have the mandate. You see, that's a mandate that is not supposed to overlap with the Ministry of Agriculture.
Yes.
Production of rice. The deficit in this country of rice is 700,000 metric tons of rice. This year alone, the target is to expand Moya irrigation scheme. Its acreage is 30,000. Upon completion of Diba Dam and the ancillary works that are ongoing, we are looking to increase it by 5,000 acres. Well, let's talk about Bura. Bura is a very, very expansive area in Tana River County. Now, the challenge has been the water that is used for irrigating land in Bura is powered by generators. Pumping system. It's a pumping system. Now, has invested in water from the 20 upstream using, because in that once that comes in, we can do another 30,000 acres on Bura. Now, actually on our ministry target this year is to irrigate more than 44,000 acres. But now the problem comes in because we are doing both national projects and also community-based irrigation schemes. The other day, we were in Lower Kuja with His Excellency the President to launch phase 2 of that program that will see another almost 12,000 acres come into irrigation. But when these community-based irrigation schemes are done by the NIA, we transfer them to counties.
Okay.
And there's an aspect of mentorship, there's an aspect of capacity building, there's an aspect of ensuring proper transition. But that transition has been a lapse somewhere, because the records will reflect that the scheme could maybe, say for example, is doing 1,000 acres, and because of that proper transfer, and now because the counties have come in to manage, if these are national, not national irrigation schemes, we need to sensitize people more that these are infrastructure that cost money to make. And if we developed 1,000 acres, please let us continue irrigating and cultivating on 1,000 acres. Not after 5 years, we're only doing 200 acres on the same land, because the infrastructure was set up, and that is what NI does.
Yeah.
Set up the infrastructure, ensure the canals are there, and hand over, especially these based schemes, to communities. Now, how are we solving that?
Communities which would actually brings the issue of household irrigation as well.
Yeah. Now, how do you solve that? We are starting something called farmer-led irrigation systems, FLID, whereby the farmers have skin in this game. The farmers come in, government supports 50%, infrastructure, etc. done. But also the farmers, because when they have skin in this game, they are more likely to maintain the irrigation schemes, are also shareholders in this. So that once the government exits, because there's no projects that last in perpetuity, forever, but for posterity and sustainability, the farmers have to take responsibility. And that is what we're investing in, to sensitize, to capacity build, and to ensure that farmers actually have a food chain. This is working in liaison with the Ministry of Trade, to ensure that farmers are guaranteed they have off-takers once their produce is ready. Those are some of the challenges that I'm trying to circumvent as we look forward to reducing this rice deficit, because we are spending so much money importing rice.
There is this, big animal called Galana Kulalu. I think this interview would have been complete without talking about Galana Kulalu. When you stepped into your docket, CS, Galana Kulalu has been in the lips of many for quite a long time. Would you please paint for us a picture on what is happening down there, and probably the progress of Galana Kulalu in respect to food security, and whether you are going to hack it this time around?
Galana Kulalu was a project that has been in Kenyans' lips for quite a while.
For years.
This project, I'll talk of 3 things in Galana Kulalu. There is something we call Galana Dam. That is a supply of water, because for any irrigation there must be supply of water. And the current water that we have right now, what it can support. We have a company called Selu. Selu is doing 10 acres in Galana Kulalu, with the prospect of expanding this to 20 acres. However, Galana Kulalu has the capacity to do more than 180,000 acres extra from the 20 that Selu is doing. That we are developing a MOU between the government of Kenya and a company called Aldara. Aldara, if you go to Egypt, Aldara has done extensive farming. But to do that, we need to build a dam to supply that water, called Galana Dam. So, Galana Dam, we are trying to package it under blended financing. Even if possible, we get a proponent in the PPP framework to do the dam. But the proponent requires an offtake guarantee. An offtake guarantee is, I might do a dam, but do we have someone to actually take this water from this dam and use it? Otherwise, the investment will not be feasible. So that MOU between Selu, Aldara, and construction of Galana Dam becomes like joined at the hip. There cannot be a dam without an off-taker, and there cannot be any food produced in Galana Kulalu without the dam. So the motor that we have already can do between 10 and 20,000 that Selu is engaged in doing. But to do the extensive food security thing that we are talking about, Victor, we have to do Galana Dam. And this is actually a very key thing that we have been following up for the last 3 months. As we speak, people have done due diligence on Aldara. Aldara is the company that is willing, upon doing test, to be the off-taker guarantee of water from Galana Dam. We have I sent my officers to Egypt to look at what Galana Aldar have done along Aswan, Aswan Dam. Egypt has done an extensive irrigation using water from that dam. And the people who actually do that irrigation, thousands of acres, are Aldar. So it's a tricky situation because, first of all, the dam, the off-taker, must find a common ground. And we are pushing to do Galana Dam under that blended financing, PPP, where government has a stake, a proponent who is actually being evaluated as a stake, so that when this is done, the thousands of acres arable land in Tana River and also some parts of Kilifi County can be put under production. Victor? Yeah.
Okay. So when you look at Galana Kulalu, what can you say about it to Kenyans? Because it's been a big issue for a very long time. Are we seeing an end to the kind of problem that it has been facing for those years? In just one sentence, if you can.
In one sentence, Victor, is Galana Kulalu is our safety net. To actualize it, I need a dam, Galana Dam. But I have a proponent. As we speak, the PPP Directorate is actually put this on top of the agenda because it is very key also to His Excellency the President. He has pronounced himself that he needs it done, and have been given directions to ensure that we make sure this happens. So I'm hoping in 2 or 3 months I can come here and give you a date when we can start maybe doing Galana Dam in preparation. Now that we have an off-taker to start 180,000 acres farming. Okay.
CS, do we have policies? I mean, talk about water harvesting. Do we have enough policy guiding the ministry and even the process itself?
On water harvesting, Kenya has never been short of policy, Victor.
But the implementation is now the big problem here.
That is what I'm pushing.
Okay.
Because if we have an agency that actually its mandate is to water harvest and store, one of the oldest agencies in the ministry, National Water Harvesting and Storage Authority. The other day, the projects being done by this authority are actually to store water. And I even haven't mentioned about the oncoming Booster Dam in Bomet County. This is where we are getting some fund from Exim Bank, correct? This is the dam that the idea was floated in the year 2017. But there was a funding problem. When His Excellency the President and during FOCAC, the China Africa Forum, we managed to secure that project requires almost 20 billion to finish. So we have done our due diligence. We are waiting for the contractors to finalize, and then Exim Bank we can sign contracts to start that job. Our solution, Victor, is our long-term solution to anyone who cares about this country is proper storage.
Okay. CS, we came from COP29 just a few days ago, and Kenya has been advocating for losses and damages because, pollution and, climate change, pollution, population growth, urbanization, etc., also affect, it's a big issue affecting us, and that actually also aggravates the issue of water in the country. What are we doing in terms of that? Because the issue of losses, that damages and climate change has been a very big, hard nut to crack for many countries, Kenya included. We had our own conversation here, was it last year? And nothing is being done. So what is your ministry doing about it?
There's something we call climate financing, Victor.
Right.
And bearing in mind that Kenya has been on the forefront in Africa to champion matters climate, its effects, as we talk about resilience, climate change resilience programs.
Okay.
And the greatest...
I'm told we need to take a break, a very quick one.
Okay.
And then when you come back, we're going to come to the tail end.
Yes.
I need to, because he is the Cabinet Secretary, of water and sanitation, I need to fill his cup. And we'll be talking about issues with water, climate, water sanitation and irrigation in the country. We're still talking about issues to do with how the government is going to make sure that there is a sustainable water supply in the country, the availability. Of course, there is that issue of financing and even harvesting and storage, which is a very big issue in the country. And the Cabinet Secretary here, Engineer Eric Muriithi Muga, joining us in studio to talk about this. And people call him the youngest Cabinet Secretary in Kenya. I don't know how young he is, but yes. What we all know is knowledge and competence is what is important here. So that is what we'll be talking about shortly before we take a break and we come back with this and much more. So stay with us.
Thank you so much.
Right, welcome back. That was a very quick one. In aviation, they say touch and go. Touch and go. All right. So, yes, very quickly, we're talking about the issue of climate financing, which is actually the biggest issue here in some of the affected countries, Kenya included. Go ahead.
I would like us to look at it in another perspective. What is the greatest agent of climate change?
Yeah.
What suffers most? Water. Water is the agent of climate change. I have a colleague who the other day told me, there's a sections in this country, if you are stationed at the same point for the entire year, if you are not affected by floods, you'll be affected by drought.
Two things.
If you stand stationary at the same point for 12 months, you will suffer droughts and you will suffer flooding. Same point. The agent of climate change is water, Victor. And as we champion, because I know Kenya is actually on the forefront, championing climate change and its effects. Why shouldn't my ministry benefit from this conversation?
Yeah.
Because I actually deal with water. So we have taken the opportunity to prepare some sections of this country to tap into that kitty, global kitty of climate financing. We are developing projects to a tune of 100 billion shillings. Because as the president's advocate for climate change, when fruits start trickling down, shouldn't only go to other ministries. We are developing climate resilience projects. And that's how we are packaging our projects. Now, once this is complete, we have a portfolio of almost 100 billion that is ongoing. We are now pitching the same to development partners and other partners who deal with climate resilience.
Yeah.
And our argument is simple, that water is the agent of climate change. May it be the rising oceans, may it be the extraordinary pours that we held in the country, may it be the long, extended durations of drought. So if we can tap into that, you see that now SIP I talked about, we are looking for implementation and financing strategy. It helps quicken our steps towards the universal access.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned, one of the areas I've seen Kenyans, we are really struggling, is sanitation. You see, and you would think we are struggling until you go to our neighboring other parts of Africa.
Yeah.
They complement us. But we have not yet achieved as much connectivity as it would be in water, sanitation. And that's why we are packaging nowadays. I've made it clear in the ministry, when you package our projects, it has to come with a component. You see, water, water, water. Where is the component of sanitation? So, any projects that will upcome, and I know we are in a very tight physical space, it has to come with a component of sanitation. Because once you drink water, biological process must take place.
Yeah.
And there must be a sanitation conversation on the table somewhere.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, as we finalize, I have two questions here, and this one is coming from our viewers. One is asking that what are some of the steps that your ministry is undertaking to revolutionize Kenyan irrigation for food security?
Yes.
What steps are you undertaking and your ministry to revolutionize Kenyan irrigation for food security? That is one. Yeah. And then another question here is coming from, this is the issue to do with the Northern Water Collector Tunnel. Northern Water Collector Tunnel. And it's completed. So the question is, are Nairobians receiving the additional 140 million liters of water daily now that the Northern Water Collector Tunnel project is completed? Those two questions as we finalize.
Victor, I thought you'd give me another chance, another day to talk about the Northern Water Collector Tunnel.
I know that.
But I can touch on it.
No doubt.
It's a beautiful story, this one. You see, I was part of the team that formulated this. I was involved somewhere along the process. The Nairobi, I'll start with the Northern Collector Tunnel.
Yes.
And I would suggest, when you have free time, Nairobians and people around have free time, can go and look at that system. I was there, if I'm not wrong, almost 1.5 months ago, when I was pushing to get this water to Kigiri tanks and Kiambu. After traversing a distance of almost 50 kilometers from Kigoro treatment plant. And for water to get to Kigoro treatment plant, it has to be another 5 kilometers from Dakaini Dam.
Yeah.
And from Dakaini Dam, now that's where you see the tunnel. The tunnel is supposed to bring 140 meter cubic to this side. And as we speak, because I know it has been raining in the region, and the water has increased, we are almost there.
Yeah.
But now, the question is, do we have the right infrastructure to transmit this water from Gigiri tanks? Because it's supposed to have 3 counties. We are talking of Murang'a. That is the first project I attended at Dronjo Chenge.
Yeah.
When the people of Murang'a wanted also a stake, a slice in this cake. And I think that water is flowing as we speak. Then this water comes to Gigiri tanks here. From Gigiri tanks, it goes the eastern bypass and western bypass. Now, this water coming to Nairobi is also going all the way to Machakos.
Yeah.
The export processing zone. Kiambu have their stake in this water, and Nairobi has actually the biggest chunk of this case. The demand for Nairobi is about 900,000 meter cubic a day.
Because of the population?
Because, this is the capital city.
Yeah.
But now when this water gets to us, the question is, do we have the right infrastructure to put it into our houses? Now, because abstract and gets to our people is 100, we have lost the 40.
Okay, so from the this 140.
They are getting not all of it, because now I know the transmission is not operating at optimal capacity, but as of last week, they were getting 100.
100.
Yes.
The last question was from the viewer who was asking...
Irrigation.
Irrigation.
Yes.
Yeah, for food security.
I think I've discussed this, only that maybe the viewer didn't get it, is that this year we are targeting to do 44,000 acres of irrigation. And to do that, we have what we call FLEED, farmer-led irrigation programs, as I've told you. We are sensitizing farmers. We have a land reclamation policy that is actually coming in to enable that, to ensure we reclaim more lands and put it under irrigation. Those are more steps. As we speak, very soon I'll come here to discuss the land reclamation policy that we are finalizing in the ministry. And also that we are exploring the possibility of having a big irrigation scheme in Taita Taveta. You know, that land is very, very valuable for production of rice. And Kenya produces one of the best quality of rice. So the steps are there.
Okay, and finally, you are new in the docket.
Yes.
Perhaps you are one to Kenyans as you take this noble step to change our lives. I mean, it's a big docket for CS.
Victor, you are right. I am new to the docket, but I am not new to water. You are very right.
Yeah.
I am new to the docket, but I am not new to water, and I am quick study. I have taken time to go around many projects. I know I don't have a bigger following like maybe you, Victor.
No, you do. You do.
And if all of us put our hands together as a country, it is doable.
Yeah.
And people have to be a little bit more optimistic. I am here to serve, Victor. That's all I can tell you. And for the moment I have the opportunity to serve, and you can ask around the people I work with, I am 100% into it, 140% into it. We have a tight fiscal space, and we have a litany of incomplete projects in the country.
Yeah.
Billions have been spent. My first responsibility is completing those programs. When those, Victor, are complete, the impact will be felt. So I am unlocking them program by program. And I'm visiting this country county by county. So if I've not gotten to your county, I'm still coming. Thank you so much.
To your county.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Buenos Dias.
Yeah.
We've been talking about matters to do with water, sanitation, and irrigation in the country. Buenos Dias, I promise you'll be right back here to tell Kenyans on the progress and so far what you promised and some of these processes and progresses that we are making as a country. I mean, to be food secure, to have enough sanitation, and if in fact matters to do with irrigation in the country on that. That has been Engineer Eric Muriithi Muga, who is a Cabinet Secretary on Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation in the country. We are taking a break. GMK continues shortly after this break, but as usual on the front page of the local dailies, quoting the church, that is what I have, Ruto, Rigathi, all out at war. On the front page of the Daily Nation, 2027, Matiang'i taps Botswana, polls experts. That's on the front page of the Daily Nation. And finally, on the front page of the Standard, Gachagua, is life better now that I'm impeached? Take your favorite copy and read for yourself. My name is Victor Lowe. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Victor.
Hizi chapati sitakagi mtu angalie, sitakataa kuiba.
Ulienda shule kusomea kupika chapati.
Ameitisha chakula inaitwa fichitish. Karibu customer.
Mimi ni mbuzi.
Hii ni tabia gani unajaribu kufanya?
Ongeri. No, emaya kid. Wacha hasira.
Oi, mazi muka watu wanaungana.
Wewe.
Dae bwana.
Nimekungua no.
Unakaa umesibu ndio kula nini tena?
Unajua bana anasema usiposiba ukuta unaisia ukingoni.
Ndio mimi nawachianga watu tape. I'm a very big taper.
Yeah.
You can keep the change. 10. Yeah, 10. 10 bob, 10 shillings.
Guys, this is cool is relocating.
Kabene. Okay. Hey, this mother damn thing is actually taking a toll on you. At the eat before you eat.
Hey, Cham, how are the three of you doing today?
Mwalimu, by the way, our in the twins and doing any sign with test, don't mind.
Twins, eh? Mtoko na twins anaweza kuwa alikuwa na mwaga chawa, hiyo design alikuwa na mwaga chawa jana.
Oh, sorry guys, blame it on the baby spray, ne? Very forgetful.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun
Experience the drama.
Get out! Who is the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevakishwa. Sio wakati tulikuwa tunapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
What's wrong with you? Are you crazy, Carolina? Why did you follow me?
What's wrong with you? Now I finally know where you got the money I found.
Amparo? What's the matter? What's the matter? What is it? Rosa! Rosa!
But what's wrong? What happened to her?
We don't know, son.
Look here. If anything happens to Mom, it'll be your fault, Isabel. Do you understand? If anything happens to her,
It's quite hard for me to believe what you're saying. I don't know. There's probably some mistake.
Isabel?
Wildlands.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat. One on me brethren, big things are going. Remember each and every Monday we have to share down the place with nothing but the best of smooth radio vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams. We don't got no label. She says she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Cold,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa Hadija ai Mani especially ukisonga.
All right, if you're just joining us, you are watching Good Morning Kenya. We continue with the program. My name is Mike Migwe. Welcome to yet another fascinating discussion here on this program. And now we talk about matters to do with children, investing in the future of children. And in studio, I'm joined by Kennedy Owino, who is the Principal Children Officer at the National Council for Children Services. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And also Jack Matika, who is a child protection expert, Koinoa community. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Before we even go further, what does it mean to invest in children? Away from investing their future, investing in children. Let me start with you, Bwana Kennedy.
Thank you, Mike, for this opportunity so that we discuss matters of children.
Yes.
There are two aspects of investment in children. There are those that invest for children, and there are those that invest in children. Investing for children means you don't involve them. Yeah? But you are doing it on their behalf, so they walk into it. Investing in children means you are involving them. You are inculcating the values, the norms, the skills that they require to survive into that future. If you invest for their future, it means that it's just like an inheritance, that they don't know the background, they don't know why, they don't know how to handle it. But we are shifting from investing for children to investing in children, working with children in this journey, inculcating the values, the norms, and the principles that they need so that they confront their future with a holistic understanding. Yes.
You know, the World Children's Day is approaching, and among the investments that are considered major, education is one of them. And one person by the name Martin O'Malley said, most valuable investment we can make is to invest in our children's education. When we make education a priority, we give our children an opportunity. Mr. Matika, what do you understand by that?
Well, as thank you, Mike.
Karibu sana.
Yes, just like my counterpart, and who are good partners, that's NCCS, to Koinonia Community and other organizations. Investing in children, it is something that is not a choice, and especially when you're talking about education. The future of any nation depends on children. And therefore, it is very much important for any country in the world, if they want to see a better nation for that particular country, and then children are key into this. So education is very important. And as I said before, it's not a choice. Everyone, every individuals, the nations must put a lot of resources to ensure children attend their learnings. Yes. And that we are guaranteed the future of our nation.
Yes. From what he's saying, it comes out as a moral imperative that everyone must be involved in this. What makes it so important in this case?
Investing in children is not a one-person soul, not one agency. It has to be multisectoral. It has to be holistic. But again, let us understand, what does education do? Why should we invest in education? Education is not ideally for the purposes of passing an exam or failing an exam. It is to inculcate the values, the skills, the knowledge that you need towards your future. That is the essence of education. Any education that does not promote those aspects that I've talked about is not education per se. And that is why there's a clarion call for the government, for all stakeholders, including the caregivers, including the children themselves. Understand that our Children Act also assigns responsibilities for the children, so that they also understand what is their role in terms of this journey in investment in their education. For example, if a parent is obliged to pay the school fees, and he has done that, it is the responsibility of the child to present himself into the learning institution, take his studies seriously, get that education, get that knowledge, get that skills, so that he moves into the future. So it is a clarion call for all stakeholders, both state and non-state.
Non-state.
Yes, including the caregivers and the children themselves.
Yes. But also, investing in children does not just only mean investing in only their education. There is as you have put, there's the values that you inculcate into students. But also, on the other hand, there's some sense of discrimination when it comes to how a children behaves. You see, there's a way that children are termed as misfits. How do we stem out this discrimination and prejudices and ensure that kids grow in an environment that allows them to be themselves?
Thank you, Mike. I agree with you that investing in children is not only in education. And that's why it's called about holistic investment in children. It's not only education, it is healthcare. When I talk about healthcare, I'm even talking about the mental health. And I agree to your observation that certain children have been termed as misfits in society. This is a social branding kind of theory. And you know, those are some of the theories that actually explains behavior. You behave in a certain way because you are branded to be that. So, to move away from that, we need to understand, how do children communicate from that child of a day-old child to that of up to 18 years. They communicate differently at various stages. So that is why we as a government, under the coordination of NCCS, the National Council for Children's Services, hold a platform whereby we understand what the children way, and if we don't understand and listen to them, we might not really help them. So it calls for the aspect of the skills, the knowledge and the values to understand actually what are these children. When you walk into a room and the child starts crying, what's that child telling you? When you walk into your house after work and the child runs to you, what's that child telling you? If the child runs to you, the child is telling you, hey, welcome, I'm missing you, I need something. So it is even involving aspect of investing quality time with your children, aspect of investing in positive parenting, so that we don't just go from the aspect of saying, we provide. You know, that's what most parents will tell you. They'll tell you, I provide everything, I pay school fees, I provide for their meals, I pay rent. That is not all the children need. The children need you to have equal and adequate time with them, which is quality, so that you can also listen to them and understand how to respond to them through providing of guidance to them.
Mr. Matika, the aspect of positive parenting has been mentioned, but also you look at the dynamics sometimes. It's like parents have relegated parenting aspect to the teachers. What are the dangers involved in this?
Thank you, Bana Mike. I want to basically go back to the spirit of our Constitution. The Article 53 of our Constitutions articulates very well.
Yeah.
And we all look at, when we are talking about negligence, we are talking about all sorts of abuses. If you go to the Article 27 of our Constitutions, you talked about, we are talking about discriminations. Where does all this happen? Our Constitutions articulate and already has given us a framework on how we need to protect those children. And just as my counterpart has said before I answered your question,
yes,
I think it is much more that the country need to put more energy on that kind of aspect. Looking at already the existing constitutions, how can we promote and enhance already what is existing? We should not be talking about children being discriminated and they are being violated. Their rights are being violated. I think that is, as a nation, we need not to be talking about this. We need to be seeing actions whenever there's any violation of a child's right, discrimination, and then there is a need of agencies to act promptly. Now, getting back to your question about parenting, that many of I'll talk of 90% of families or parents, they have dedicated the responsibility to the teachers. But my friend Mike, I want to tell you that the first person who is responsible on the issue of a child belongs to the states. A child belongs to the state. And what that does tells you, we need to have a proper mechanisms in schools. We are not saying that the parents has no obligation. They have no responsibility. But the schools should also play a very protagonist role to ensure that when the children are in school, they are taught good morals, you know. And we don't have places where children are in schools and children see teachers smoking, and then you go to the class and then you tell children, do not smoke. You are doing ironical. It is also, just like my counterpart said, it is the role of all stakeholders. Yes, we have seen parents have dedicated most responsibility to the teachers, and they have less time with their children. That brings problems, because as a parent, you need to be very close to this particular child and then try to give good morals so that he or she is able to grow in an environment where he or she knows what is right and what is wrong. If they did, because if you go to the school, of course, there are so many children. Teachers will not handle every individual.
Yes.
So it is in order that parents have neglected their responsibility, and it's the right time that they have now to go back and ensure they work hand in hand with the teachers, and beside the teachers and the parents, the society has an obligation also. When the society look at, you meet a child on the road who is supposed to be going to school, and you say, it's not my child. My child is in school. It is as you said, it's a collective responsibility. If we have children that basically we need to educate and invest in and have a good future, and then everyone has an obligation, yes, to protect the right of the
What he's saying is something we were talking of about the approach that we use in when we are addressing the young ones. If you say, for instance, he's doing something wrong, and you go tell them this is wrong, and you do not provide explanations. But this generation now requires information. Talk about more the approach, because we are, in as far as we are investing in their future from a materialistic point of view, values also matter. The approach.
Thank you, Mike. I agree with what Matika is saying in regards to parenting in school, which is the responsibility of the teachers, and also parenting at home. One thing you'll appreciate is the fact that children, even in a family setup, do not have the same needs. They don't behave the same way. I want you to look at that and also take, let's have a look at the classroom or the school environment, where you are expected to behave the same way. You are expected to abide with the same rules. And it is kind of more of universal approach. That brings me to the aspect that each child is unique in his own way. In his own way of understanding, his own way of manifestation, and in the child's own way of approach to issues. And that's why parenting, from the parent's perspective and the community perspective, plays a key role, because you have time to understand the unique approach to each and every child. And I agree with you that what matters here is the approach. If a child does something wrong, and then you tell him that is wrong, and you leave it at that level, basically that's the school environment. Don't be late. If you are late, you are punished. Do they even have understanding of why did this child come to school late? So the kind of generation, the kind of children we are parenting today are children that are well informed. Yes, to some extent even better than the parents, better than the caregivers. So there is need to have a platform of sharing, digging deep to understand why did this child behave in this kind of way, and what is the best approach that I can have in handling this child. And sometimes by just creating that environment of discussion, having the child to believe on the aspect that there is somebody who is listening to me. There is somebody who is not ready to condemn me unless he understands and is ready to help me walk the journey. Then that is the approach we are saying that should be calculated from the parents and also the teachers. But again, let us also question, in terms of the teachers' training, are they equipped with the necessary skills? Remember, there was even a push in this country that each school is supposed to have a trained counselor, a child therapist. So somebody will also question that, are all the parents child therapists? They might not be trained child therapists, but they require the basic skills to help them understand the child. And that is why the ministry, the government, all stakeholders are brought on board to have the necessary skills, basic, to understand the child, to create a platform whereby you reason with the child before you condemn the child, so that you help this child understand why this thing is wrong. If somebody tells you your phone is wrong to use a phone, he might be right, but why in that context? So you need to understand from what reasoning perspective does it come from, so that also the children are not necessarily merely condemned, but they are also understanding why certain actions or certain behaviors needs to be changed.
It also points to the aspect of where giving the children a chance to express themselves and make their emotions and opinions known. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree, and with the spirit of our constitutions. And I also want to just acknowledge the good work that the NCCS has been doing. And they have been in a position to organize workshops for different institutions, the schools, and also putting frameworks emphasizing more on the issue of child participation in everything that adults. Now, this is not a moment or generations where you want to tell them do and don't. So the NCCS encourage everyone to ensure that children are brought to participations. Whatever you want to give them, you want them to do. engage them so that they are in a position also to share the opinion.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's take a break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about the aspect of mental support for the children, but we'll do that once we are back from this short break. Don't go too far.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
Wewe ni nani na unataka nini?
Ama kweli hapo kwa kujua mengi hujakosea, lakini kuna mambo mengine huyajui, hautakuja kuyajua na wala hauna budi kuyajua mpaka na hata kuyasikia mpaka pengine labda ukifa.
Felista, unabati kuwa mimi ni mtu mpole na sipendi mshike. Leo hii kichwa chako na kiwiliwili ningehakikisha vimetengana.
Wewe ya kisi.
Ati chapati sitakagi mtu angalie, sitakataa kuiba.
Ulienda shule kusomea kupika chapati.
Ameitisha chakula inaitwa fetish. Karibu customer.
Mimi ni mbuzi.
Hii ni tabia gani unajaribu kufanya?
Ongeri. No, emaya kid. Wacha hasira.
Wewe.
Dae bwana.
Nimekungua no.
Unakaa umesibu ndio kula nini tena?
Unachua anasema usiposiba ukuta unaisia ukingoni. Ndio mimi nawachianga watu tape. I'm a very big tape.
You can keep the change. 10. Yeah, 10. 10 bob 10 shillings.
Welcome back. We are glad you're tuned in to Good Morning Kenya here on KBC Channel 1. You're watching Transformative Leaders, where we are talking about investing in the future of our children. Kennedy Owino and Jack Matika are helping me in this conversation. But before we went on a break, we were talking about the mental aspect of children. How does mental health now contribute to the success of children?
Thank you, Mike. Issue of mental health is a real thorny issue in matters of children.
Yes.
Because not only children, everybody, only human beings, unless you are stable mentally, you can't deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why there is a special recognition on the role that mental stability or mental wellness in children plays in the future. So what does it mean? We are moving from a generation where we are saying children are there to be seen and not to be heard. And we are not only hearing the children when we listen to their verbal communication. We also need to listen to what is going on in their mind. Children are saying, if it is for us, Without us, it is not ours. But children are also traumatized as they go through certain challenges of life, just like adults. So there is a deliberate move by the government and all stakeholders to have a specific focus on the issues of mental health on children. The way that a child of 1 to maybe 3 years express themselves is different. I mean, you can't go to that child and ask the child, tell me what's the problem with you. They express themselves very well in terms of play and art therapy. So that is why there is training. The training itself is packed in a way that it helps you to retrieve what is in the mind of a child. If you walk into your house today and you get your child taking a dull doll, maybe black in color, punching that doll, what does this child tells you? If you start getting a child who, every time this child interacts with her doll, the child is pinching, punching, this is a child that has definitely gone through physical abuse. And because of a displacement mechanism, he cannot pinch the adult, he pinches the dolls.
Yes.
So that is an aspect of helping you to understand the aspect of mental health of children. But your question was, how is it important in terms of the success of children? Children need to be stable in terms of mind. The investment must not only go from the aspect of saying, oh, we have provided, we have a good classroom, we have qualified teachers, but you don't understand what goes into the mind of these children. Certain children just need a mindset. They just need to be emotionally stable to perform in a classroom. Here is a person that is pushing the child to perform, but does not understand the underlying issues. Maybe this child has gone through the trauma. Recently, we had floods in this country. Children went through trauma, have their emotions be addressed, the issues of mental health, so that we bring them back to normal. And you know, the memory of a child is different from the memory of an adult. You can easily forget. A child will not easily forget. So we need to understand that aspect and see what programs do we have in place to address the issues of mental health for children so that they are fit, let me use that term, so that they are fit to be modeled, to be impacted in terms of knowledge and skills into their future. So that is how important issues of mental health is. You have seen a number of children committing suicide. So somebody would wonder, why would a 3-year-old go and hang himself? And we also need to be privy at this point that issues of mental health does not only contribute to the aspect of children having gone trauma, even the use of technology. What are they interacting with in the internet? There are this very funny competition, like, you know, the person who suffocates for the long time is a hero. So the child tries to be a hero by just suffocating himself. And then the child dies. So these are the issues we are talking about. So the parents need to understand that it is more from what we are seeing the children, but we need to go beyond, because these children interact with phones, these children interact with neighbors, these children interact with fellow children, even globally. Yes.
You know, we talk about that, but in a way it also narrows down to the role of parents in all this. Talk about that, and also you talk about the benefit of having social protection programs for children.
Okay, thank you, Bana Mike. I still want to go back when you're talking about what framework do you have when you talk about health. If you look at the regulation that basically has been brought and should be active, my counterpart can confirm it was done by NCCS.
Yes.
And in these regulations, children regulations, is basically speak more on the health issues of the children, mental health, and how it can be handled. I want to say that parent has no choice. They have no choice, but they have an obligation to ensure that the mental health issues of their children are well. They have to invest in that.
Yes.
They have to invest as much as the national government and other state departments come up with all these frameworks, and then they have a role to play as parents. Because as he said, we have the issue of children are traumatized in various ways when they are at home, when they are playing. Maybe their words, even their families use, the biological parents. And these words, they're abusive language. Either you look like your mom, you know, you behave like your dad, you know. Those are words that remains in these children. And then later on, they are traumatized. They get traumatized. And if they are not treated, handled at this stage, and then you'll find these children, even socially, they will not social well in the society. And even when it comes to performance, you know, they will always drag behind. So it is important to put mental health for children as a key to every household in Kenya. If we dream to achieve the UNCRC, you know, dream as a nation, and then as he said, the NCCS, the national government, the county government, they have an obligation. But here, wait a bit, they are also families. Families has to play their part. The parents has to ensure that the mental health of their children are well taken care of. And when you do so, and then we have a nation, that is mindfulness, full of mindfulness, because we believe that when we invest in these children, as he said, not only education, but we have areas like the mental health. Once you deal with that, we are guaranteed a nation that is very mindful. Yes.
You know, the aspect of devolution must come up in all this because all stakeholders have to be involved, the national government, county governments, and even maybe non-governmental organizations. But to you, why should devolution work to ensure that the children and youth are catered for? Why is devolution necessary for this to work?
Thank you, Mike, for that question. Actually, it is one of the areas of high consideration and of value to children. The aspect or the place of devolution in matters of children. Somebody will say that children matters are not devolved, which is a fact. But look here, where's that child? That child belongs to a certain village, to a certain ward, to a certain constituency, to a certain county. Before you become a Kenyan, you belong somewhere.
Yeah.
And that is within the confines of the counties. And that is why when we were doing the review of the Children Act 2001, the legislation came out deliberately in Section 61 and Section 62 of the Children Act Cap 141 of the Kenyan law to have specific roles to the county governments. And what is catchy in those provisions is the aspect that county governments are expected to develop county-specific policies to establish child welfare schemes for the promotion of the well-being of children.
Yes.
Every right comes with a responsibility.
Yeah.
And as we fulfill children's rights, we are promoting their welfare. So if the legislation is talking about county government having a responsibility to establish child welfare schemes, we need to unpack this. Because in my opinion, most of the welfare schemes are actually devolved. If we are saying that children need to have potable water, simply clean and safe drinking water, whose responsibilities is that? If children need to have nutrition, adequate nutrition, that is basically agriculture. That is devolved function. If children need to develop their talents and skills, in terms of talents and skills development, again, it goes to county government. If these children need a playground, that is county government. If children need to be free from what we call child mortality, you know, that is the responsibility of the government. Immunizations, vaccinations, provisions of adequate shelter, a conducive environment. These are the functions of a decentralized government as much as they are also connected by the national government. Therefore, we are proud to say that under the guidance of the council, a number of counties have accepted this provision and have come up with county-specific children policies. Kakamega, talk of Nyamira, talk of Homa Bay, talk of Muranga is launching theirs on 20th, as we'll be celebrating the World Children's Day. I know there are deliberate efforts in Kirinyaga, in Meru, they started the other day. So this is actually where we want all governments, all county governments to move in, so that they understand that there is a key role that the devolution and the centralized governments are playing in terms of fulfilling children's rights. Yes.
Mr. Matika, from where you stand, do you think there is more investment needed in this aspect in terms of policy framework for children?
That's at the county level. Thank you, Mike. I think just like what my counterpart has said, I want to believe that the county government needs to do more. he echoed quite a number of some county, but I want to be very frank with the nation that the work that the county government of Murang'a has done on the issue of children is really a good job. And the county, this matter of health has to be involved, has to be in every countries, you know. And the children policy, every county has an obligation to ensure the right of children are very much well articulated. They should not leave it to the national government. Because you find many a times people want to talk about the national government, the state, and all these kind of things. I think every county need to be held responsible. They have to develop policies that are protecting the rights of children. Yes, so I totally agree with you. Much need to be done, and this is at the county level. If we talk about Nairobi and NCCS, of course they have really made a lot of tremendous, very good job coming up with the policies and national policies. And I think it is at county levels now to work very close and ensure they're implementing what the NCCS has been basically coming up with to ensure that children are protected in this nation.
Yes.
And we invest in that.
Still, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, maybe Mike, let me add why county children policies are very key. You realize that counties are coming from very different cultural backgrounds.
Yeah.
The issues affecting Turkana might not be the issues affecting Homa Bay, might not be the issues affecting Nairobi, might not be the issues affecting other county. So you understand that if you go to a specific county, they have a specific child protection concern. For example, if you go to Western Kenya, issues of incest, children who are born of incest, who are perceived to be outcast, is a real issue. So yes, as much as we can have a policy national to deal with that, but it's a presenting issue to Kakamega, to Vihiga, to Busia, and to Bungoma. So are they coming up with specific policies to address that? We are in a country where still currently as we are talking, certain communities believe that by giving birth to twins, that is a curse. Yeah? By giving birth to a child who is living disability, that child is supposed to be thrown out to the forest, maybe for the hyenas to feed on. These are the things we are saying that counties must come with county-specific legislations that are addressing the specific needs and issues affecting children in their areas of jurisdiction. Then that is why we have to invest heavily on county-specific child protection legislations so that their welfare, because again, if they don't have a legal framework, even investing and allocating resources will be challenged. Because remember, if you want to invest in very issues of protecting children born out of incest in Kakamega, the first question they'll be asking you, which legislative framework is this based on? It is based on any law. Yeah? So that's the first battle you have with the assembly.
Yes.
So, but if you have a legal framework, then it is going to be very easy for that particular county to even have each of children in the county integration development plans, CIDPs.
Yes. Now, if you're talking investing about in the future of children, the matters of opportunity have to come up. And Mwana Matika, from where you stand, how can we close the gap in terms of opportunities, especially for children, say from disadvantaged backgrounds?
Yes, when you talk about, thank you, Mike. When you talk about children that are disadvantaged from I'll basically look at the street homeless families. Then let's talk about the children with the disabilities. You know, I think that much need to be done because when we talk about investing in children, we need to holistically talk about all children. And we have quite a number of children, you know, that are not in school. There was a statistic that was done in the world that talking about 125 million children, you know, in the world that are not in school. And you'll find that a percentage of that are children that are in Kenya, you know. And we have children that are living in the streets that are basically need to be given also a voice. And of course, there are departments like the Street Rehabilitation Trust Fund. That is one of the state departments. that are playing role to ensure that those innocent children get out of the street. But they need to do much more. They need to work with the other organizations, come up with good policies, framework that can help to bring those innocent children that are living in the street of Nairobi. Because they are children that we believe if we also invest in them, they will bring a good development in this nation. And then beside that, also the issue of disability. You know, disability, we say disability is not inability. They are able differently. And so these people also, we need policies that I know through the NCCS, they have done tremendous also work, but just to ensure that we have also policies that are protecting those vulnerables, you know, and so that they also, people invest in, the government of Kenya invest in them, and the society also invest in them. If their parents have them, they should not be afraid to say, I have a child who's living with these states. They should be free to bring them out and also invest in them, because we believe if they are given also education, their future will be bright, and they will be part and parcel on national development.
Yes.
Yes.
Allow me to add something on the opportunities.
Okay.
And I'll approach it from the deliberate measures that the government has put in place that the stakeholders and the public need to take as an opportunity to safeguard children from less vulnerable communities. One, there's a social protection bill that is just to enhance social protection structures that takes care of these vulnerable children and other vulnerable families. So this is a legislation that is going to provide a robust premises upon which societies and families of which are vulnerable in one way or another can be supported by the government. Currently, you know, recently the government did upscaling, and we are happy that the government is committing to even having that number multiplied times 5 in terms of social protection. The government has also established a number of institutions to take care of the vulnerable. He has talked about street rehabilitation trust funds. A trust fund established to take care of the plight of the number of street families, the plight of street families. When it comes to issues of disability, the government has established a whole council, the National Council for Persons with Disability, just to look at the issues of disability. And there's also other programs that the government is coming up with to present an opportunity from which these families can be supported. Look at even the basic provisions of the Children Act, which is saying that children living with disability or children with disability are entitled to free medication, entitled to free health care. These are legal frameworks from which we can build and see what kind of programs can we design to support these vulnerable groups, so that we provide opportunity for all children regardless of their background and their status.
Yes. Now, Mr. Matika, the World Children's Day is coming in 2 days' time, and the theme is investing in our future means investing in our children. Why is that the theme important?
The theme is very important. The theme is very important in this aspect. If we invest in our children, and then we are sure of a generation that are confident in themselves. You're talking about participation, involving the children when you are you want to do anything else. So that bring on participations. And I think this is very important, and it comes at the right time, where it's a call to every country, every nation, that they should understand holistically we have to invest on education, medical, and all other development of our children to ensure that we have a country, you know, that has a future, a country that will have a good leader, because we believe that the children are the leader of tomorrow. So if we invest in them, I tell you, we have a nation, a prospering nation. Yes.
Mr. Kennedy, where is the World Children's Day being celebrated in?
Where?
Where is it happening?
It is happening in Murang'a. And before I talk about that, allow me to also add to why is investing in children, investing in our future. In every institution, in every aspect of life, there is succession management.
Yes.
Those people who founded KBC are not there today.
Yeah.
But we are also living to the fact that at one point, whether we'll be living in this country, will not be the leaders. So, if you want to know how Kenya will be in the next 50 years, is how we treat our children today, to paraphrase what Mandela said.
Yes. Yes.
So, if we don't invest in our children today, then we are having no future. The kind of investment we are giving to our children today is the kind of the future that we are going to have as a country.
Yes.
And that is why on 20th, that is on Wednesday, we are rallying all stakeholders in the children's sector, parents, caregivers, and children, and all actors to Murang'a, so that we celebrate. And as we celebrate, we are not only celebrating the World Children's Day, the children are also going to take us to task, to tell them what we have done to them as a country. So it is not only a question of celebrating the day, but it's also a question of having an interaction with the children so that we help them understand what is their assessment. Mike, that's where we are.
Yes.
Where children are also putting us to task and asking us, where are we? The government, you are to do this. Where have you done? What have you done? So we are also going to showcase what we have done to the children in this country in terms of investment in them, investment in healthcare, investment in education, investment in terms of mental health, investment even into their protection. This is the kind of discourse we are going to have into Murang'a, and we welcome the people across the globe to come and celebrate with us. And why Murang'a? Because I know that's another question that you're likely heading to. Why Murang'a? Like he has said that Murang'a has done a good job. Even when we are not having the child protection policy, they have realized the importance of investing in children. And they are going to launch the child protection policy. Not only Murang'a, but also other countries. But again, we couldn't choose all the counties together. But we have said that let's move to Murang'a as they launch their children policy, which is aligning with that date, so that we also showcase what we have done as a country and what also Murang'a as a county has done. And His Excellency, the Governor, will be there, and we are expecting our CS, His Excellency, Honorable Alfred Mutua, to be with us as we celebrate with the children.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time to come on Good Morning Kenya and talk about these matters in such a time as this. That is Kennedy Mesao Gina. We know. But still, this is a very timely thing that needs to happen now, because we are dealing with a generation that is way too knowledgeable, and they are too... They have information, but they need guidance. But if we are talking about investing in their future, the investment needs to be holistic and needs to be done as early as now. This is where we end this conversation that is happening here on Good Morning Kenya. We have been talking to Jack Matika, who is a children's protection officer, and also Kennedy Owino, who is from the National Commission on...
Council.
Yes.
On Children's Services.
This is where we end this conversation. My name is Mike Migwe. Continue watching KBC Channel 1.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m. On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you were making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who is the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevakishwa. Sio wakati tulikuwa tunapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow.
Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Wewe kisi.
Ati chapati sitakagi mtu angalie, sitakataa kuiba.
Ulienda shule kusomea kupika chapati.
Ameitisha chakula inaitwa fidget. Karibu customer.
Mimi ni mbuzi. Hii ni tabia gani unajaribu kufanya?
Ongeri. No, am I a kid? Wacha hasira.
Oi, mami, muka watu wanaungana.
Wewe.
Dae bwana.
Nimekung'wano.
Unataka umesibu ndio kula nini tena?
Unachua anasema usiposiba ukuta unaisia ukingoni. Ndio mimi nawachianga watu tape.
I'm a very big taper.
Aya.
Can keep the change.
10.
Yeah, 10.
10 bob.
10 shillings.
Guys, this school is relocating.
Hey, this mother tongue thing is actually taking a toll on you. At the eat before you eat.
Hey, teacher, how are the three of you doing today? Mwalimu, by the way, our twins doing any sign with their stomach.
Twins, eh? Mtu akona twins anaweza kuwa alikuwa na mwaga chawa, hiyo design alikuwa na mwaga chawa jana.
Oh, sorry guys, blame it on the baby spray, ne? Very, very forgetful.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat. Wagwan, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth way the vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams. We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania should give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Cold,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa. Hatija ai, mani especially ukisonga.
Change is here.
And this shift is about many things. The country is shifting.
This is Kenya's vision, the journey to development.
KBC is going to be the home to realize, to discuss, to share ideas about this shift and to know where our country is going.
We dissect the rumors. We clarify the perceptions. A clear picture of the status quo. Change is indeed here.
Everything is shifting.
The shift.
And we now get into our family check segment, and we are still going to be discussing children and their youth this time round. And our topic of conversation is safeguarding children and the youth during this long holiday. We know that children are now home, and they'll be home for the longest time as they get to resume school in January. So they have an entire month, actually 2 months, because they were home from the entire November, and then they'll still be home in December. And we need to ensure that as they are staying at home or wherever it is that they will be at, they will be safe. So our conversation is on safeguarding them. And joining me, beginning from my very far end, that is my far right, is Irene Opondo. And Irene Opondo is a sales and marketing manager, Security Group Africa, Kenya. And right next to her, we have Matu Lucy Kanini. And Matu Lucy Kanini is a youth patron, an educator, and also a speaker. And they are here just to get to talk to us about this conversation on how to ensure that we best safeguard our children and young people as they are at home. Yes, if I may just decide, let's start with you, Lucy. When you talk about safeguarding our children and the youth, give us an overview. What does that look like?
When we talk of safeguarding our children and the youth, we know that our children are out for a very long holiday, starting from October to January. It's a long period. These children are outside here, whereby there are a lot of threats to the well-being of our children when they are out of the structured way of going in schools, at colleges or universities. So there are a lot of threats that may not occur well with them, that will make us not be sure of their safety when it comes January, where they are supposed to go back again to learning. So a lot is needed so that our children are safe, that they are able to be maintained safely until when they open back to school. That is January. So I think when we are discussing this, we can revolve around what can affect our children and our youth outside here, maybe like socially, emotionally, or even physically, or even to do with the internet, or the social media, which is affecting a larger group of our children and the youth.
Giving us the security aspect of it, being that you work for a security firm, how does that look like? You know, when you talk about we're supposed to safeguard them, how does that look like? Where should one start?
Okay. Thank you very much, Vivian, and thank you for having me. I want to look at it from the point of view that security and safeguarding of the youth and children is actually multifaceted. And it actually should be concerted efforts from different bodies. We would be talking about the parent or guardian, we'd be talking about church, we'd be talking about government, we'd be talking about institutions, and that is where security falls in. So from the point of view of security entities or bodies, I think we look at safeguarding the youth and the children from 2 points. That could be safeguarding, ensuring their safety when they're within the households, also ensuring their safety when they are outside of the house, but still probably within the premises, and yet again ensuring their safety and security when they are even without the premises. They've, for instance, gone out. We could even look at camping. So let's start with safeguarding their security when they are within the premises. And there are many things that could be looked at. We would narrow down to technology, education, and open collaboration. Technology means looking at how we can leverage technology, including technology-inclined security solutions to beef up or optimize security for the youth and their children, especially now that they're on holiday. You want to agree with me that most parents are going to work.
Yeah.
It's actually a normal schedule for the parents. So we leave our children vulnerable at home. And you know the way the youth have high levels of energy, that's for sure. So for instance, if you're looking at young children, so to speak, let's look at a solution, a basic solution. Like, I know that at SGS Security there's this smart home security solution that was rolled out and has really excited, I would say, our audience. So it's a system that has, it's a wireless system that has various components of security solutions put together to form a very robust package that would talk to, I think, every need that a basic home could have. So a quick look into that, we're looking at an intrusion system. We are looking at surveillance systems. So say, for instance, it's a new a mother who probably has a young baby and has to go back to work. We are looking at cameras which could help with real-time surveillance and monitoring, and they could be able to access that at the convenience of their phones, so to speak. This system comes with an intrusion detection system. It comes with medical insurance. It comes with a rescue solution, and all of this are in one application. You can be able to reach that on your phone. And the beauty of it is that you also have access to unlimited response across the country. So for instance, if there is a risk of a security trigger, you could call for help through the comfort of your phone. So it's an app on the phone. That is to take care of the internal security. You're looking at things like safety awareness, where you train even on first aid and the first aid kitting, and ensuring that people within the house have capacity to even just facilitate basic first aid. Then you now extend to even looking at the external security, where you want to take care of the perimeter and make sure that the porosity in those kind of areas are well taken care of. These security firms, like the security firm that I work for, carry out security vulnerability assessments for different setups, including households, and we do that for free. And we give reports that are comprehensive. And within these reports, you can get recommendations of which areas have the vulnerability aspect of it, which areas could be beefed up, how that could be worked around. And we also have solutions that could talk to their security even out of the premises, things like personal trackers, for instance, when they're going for camping and stuff like that, basically.
You mentioned about the app.
Yes.
There's the app that you were talking about. What's that app specific?
So
what's the exact app, rather?
Yeah, so we call it the Safe Home.
Okay.
We have the Safe Home package. It's a smart home solution. So it's a wireless system, means aesthetically it does not interfere with your current home setup. It's aesthetically very appealing. It's an app that has components. So we have the Safe Home, which is a basic package, and for a basic setup. Then we have the Safe Home Plus, which is an advanced a model of the Safe Home and gives room and liberty for scalability. So how does this work? So what we do is we come and install. It's sort of a do-it-yourself kit. It's a DIY kit. So we install a security package that comes with, so the Safe Home, which is the basic one, would come with a camera, and it would come with a siren and strobe lights. Then we would have a panel and the standard panic buttons. So in case of an intrusion, you as the home user could trigger. And when you trigger, it seamlessly talks to our control room. Then what happens is the control room would then alert the nearest backup response vehicles, and we're able to respond in, say, 3 to 6 minutes. Yeah? And the app, over and above that, so the value add, the only thing you pay for is the security aspect of it, that you can give your response. Over and above that, we build value around that solution, in the sense that you also get to get medical emergency from the comfort of your phone. So it's just an app. Say, for instance, you have an emergency situation at home. What you do is just SOS, request for help, and then we would be linking, the system links you to the nearest medical rescue facility that we have partnered with. And even as you wait, there's constant communication, there's constant collaboration. You can actually get first aid through the phone. Same applies to the Safe Home Plus, which is an advanced package, comes with more cameras, comes with more sensors. There's an intrusion detection aspect of it. You could be traveled out of country or out of town for vacation or holidays, and your security is well taken care of.
Wow.
We are linked to all the response facilities that we have spread out regionally and properly strategically positioned. So that takes care of it. I shouldn't forget to mention that this solution actually comes also with an insurance function in it. So even for the Safe Home, which is a basic solution, we give you an insurance. So for the contents of the house, you have an insurance of up to 750,000 and an all-risk cover of about 300,000. For the Safe Home Plus, which is a scalable solution, that beefs up to actually 1.5 for the contents of the house and up to about 700,000 or thereabout for the all-risk cover. So you see, this is an all-inclusive system that's very comprehensive, takes care of your security from end to end, and it's it's a very affordable solution. And I think the response we've gotten from the mass is that that's what the market needs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really sounds interesting.
It's
really interesting. Yeah. Maybe now to you, Lucy. You know, as we all know, young people are really energetic. They have too much energy to contain. So what should parents do right now in order for them to just keep them involved? You know, because the more they stay idle, maybe the more they'll get into things that they really shouldn't be getting into. So what are the best ways to go about involving these children, keeping them involved?
Thank you, Vivian. I think for parents, they are supposed not to leave their children house or even the youth, especially if they are doing any activity within the home. They are supposed to inform these children so that they are maintained busy, they are not idle. If the father of the house is within the home and is going for gardening, I think he should go with the youth. If there is a boy there or a girl there, they should join the parent to the activities within the homestead. Again, they should make sure that these children are busy, they are not idle, involving them with the school work. Maybe they can get online or they do the paperwork and then they are supervised. At the end of the day, they should see what work these children were doing. Because if they are left unsupervised, the children get bored, then they start venturing into areas that they are not supposed to. Even online work, they are supposed to be checked. What were they doing? Because sometimes you find a child is idle and then getting deeper to what they are not even supposed to do. If it is possible, then the parents are supposed to control what the children should be doing from the internet. Checking and being able to control what they are doing. I think that will be of much concern and help to these children. Once again, children are not supposed to be left alone. If they are left alone, then there should be a person that is left with the children, especially for the small ones, such that this person is trusted by the family, or a neighbor, or even a relative, or a hired person, so that this person can guide the children when the parents are away at work. Again, I think it is important for the parents to check who are moving with these children. If maybe they are going out, who are they hanging together with? Because, for example, if they are hanging out with different bad groups, it means our children are going to be influenced negatively. That is peer influence. Maybe they can get introduction to drugs and maybe early sex, which they are not supposed to at that age. Therefore, I think for the advice of the parents, children should be engaged over the holiday. Then they should also be given time to get involved to sports and the games. That way, when they pray together, when they compete together, their bodies are being active and they are not idle. I think these children will be occupied. At the end of the day, they'll be tired, just getting home when they are safe.
Yeah, and maybe what challenges would you say parents are facing in this time?
I think they are getting parents are getting challenges because now, you see now the children in school are being in a structured way of being in school. But now when they're at home, there's not that structure. So the children are just let, wake up anytime, feed anytime, such that there is no food. Maybe there is no food in the house.
Yeah.
Maybe insecurity of a kind. You see now, I think that challenge is there. Again, when children are out and there are many, if they are just let to interact, they may not head up well. Yeah. There are challenges like now finances, because now children are back home, they need to feed, they need to clothe. But if the parents don't have money, such a time food is not enough, I think that's a challenge to the parents and also to the children.
Yeah. Okay. Now we are in the social media era.
Yes.
Online is the way to go. It's actually here with us. Like everyone is online, including the very little babies, you know, children of around 1 year also know how to use gadgets and whatnot. So maybe to you, what's the best way to go about social media or online, you know, and what are the risks involved for young people, from the children to the youth as well, and what's the best way to go about it in terms of ensuring that they are safeguarded in that area?
Okay. Thank you, Vivian. I think technology, change is the one constant thing that we have, and there is no running away from it. And technology has caught up. So it is inevitable to a large extent, for instance, to say we would manage as parents to completely keep the children off telephones and laptops and tablets, basically off the internet. It's not very practical. Looking at the fact that the youth, for instance, most of them are in college, in the universities, and they use these gadgets even to do their research.
Yeah.
So it's easier to control. So I think for children at a certain age bracket, it's very easy and possible to say, you know what, no to the phones, no to the internet, and then probably just have controls over the channels that they are watching. I think the media, your space, should also be able to actually help us. That you, during this time, you could get deliberate about airing programs that are sensitive to the specific age brackets that could be watching them during this time. I think that's the one way or the role media could help play. For parents and probably the churches, like I said, this is a multifaceted thing and has to be approached from various components. It's sort of teamwork. So from the parents, I would say for the young generation, the young kids, it's just to completely keep them off the internet, and that's possible. For the youth, I think it's to keep the collaboration open. Inform, educate, let them know the dangers of using social media platforms to certain extents. You know, even kidnaps, the way youth children are kidnapped and then they end up asking for ransom, a lot of information that these people get, the kidnappers, could be from the social space. So they follow through, then even many things could happen within the social space. So I believe for the youth and the middle-aged children, the best way is to constantly educate, pass that information on, keep open education channels, educate them about stranger danger, about kidnaps, about the hazards, the dangers of social media space. And that could go deep, even with content that they watch that could otherwise corrupt their mind. There's a lot of sexual content that's going on in the social space that we need to then sensitize our youth about. So because we cannot completely lock out the internet as a social space, because technology then takes charge. There's a level you get and technology is inevitable. From where I sit, I think the number one thing that as parents, as guardians, as a church, as government, as media space, we should be very, very intentional about is to make sure that we sensitize this generation.
Yeah. And also, I'd love to pick on that. You know, right now, I'm sure there are also very many sex predators who are just on the net for that particular reason. They want to find young girls or young boys that they can just start grooming for that. So I think it's also very important to, sorry, my director is speaking to me. It's very important to have that out here, just for parents to also know that there are such people on the net who are specifically there just to groom their children sexually, you know, and that is where we also get to hear of molestation, whereby someone went and met with this person, thought they were just having a normal date, but this was someone who was really just grooming them for a particular thing. So I feel like that is really important to also put out there so that parents know that there are people like that who are out here. And to you, maybe, what is the role of communication in all of this? And specifically, when I'm talking of communication, I'm speaking about the communication of parents to and the children, parent-children communication, and what big role does it play?
Thank you, Vivian. I think communication is paramount in this. Considering the parent, the youth, and the children. If the parents block communication, or if they are so hard on their children, the children might be facing a challenge that they may not be able to share with the parents or even the guardian who is with them. So I think for the parent and the guardian are supposed to give freedom of speech and be close to their children and the youths, not being so harsh or strict to their children, especially when they are talking to them. They should give them a free space and a freedom to speak to them and to share with them anything. And then they should encourage them to share with them anything that they face, whether it is good or bad. They should set their children at that freedom of sharing with them. And when they share with them, if it is a bad thing, the parents should be not hard on the parents should not be hard on the children or the youth. I think when they are set free to communicate, they are able to tell and share with their parents what they are going through. And that way the parents will be able to guide the child or even to take the precaution and safety measures that are supposed to be given at a time if a child or a youth has gotten herself in a situation that is too hard, that can make him discouraged or even give him or her low self-esteem. So I think communication for parent and the guardian should be set free without any limit.
Yeah. It's not the time where, you know, parents used to be extremely strict, whereby there's no communication really. It's their way or the highway. Whatever the parent says or the guardian says, it goes. But I feel like right now we can't use that form of parenting with the modern in this modern day and age, because I mean you need to put an open communication so that you're able to know what is happening with these children, what is happening around, you know, their lives as well. And I'll get back to you, Irene, and on the security bit now. You know, there's been many cases of femicide. I believe that we've been seeing this on the headlines almost on a daily basis, cases of femicide to be specific. Probably, how do we go about that, and how do we ensure that these young people who are out now, you know, are safeguarded and don't get to become, you know, prey to some of this, or become victims of such?
Okay. Yes, you are right. To a large extent, we see a lot of femicide, and I think that has really scaled up, especially in the country. And I think we had a season or a phase where that was extremely rampant, and the target was a specific age group. We saw a lot of victims being that space that is in the university-going girls. So from where I sit, I think on this point, we need, as parents and guardians, to be mentors. Mentors of the girls that we raise. And you know, mentors of the girls that we probably even go to church with, mentors of the girls that we work with. So I think broad mentorship from guardians is fundamental. Because with this mentorship, then we are able to walk them through this journey. We are able to walk them through, some of them it's because of shortcuts. Some of them fall prey to bad people because they are shortcutting. They fall prey to bad people because they don't have proper guidance. Another thing would be mental health. Just making sure that the girls we are raising have mental stability. Yeah? Because when they do, they would have the feeling that it's okay. It's a safe space to talk to a guardian. When they're disturbed mentally, they look for solutions in all the wrong places. So mentorship, ensuring that they have mental stability, and again, going back to the aspect of communication. If you keep very open communication channels with your daughter, for instance, your niece, your goddaughter, if the communication channels are very open, they'll be able to tell you what they're up to. If, for instance, it's somebody they are dating, they want to see, they'll be able to give you these details, even the development of those relationships, and you're able to gauge as an adult and see whether or not this is viable. The other thing, again, is just still sharing information, educating our girls, and this could even be through forums, in church, forums on media. Government would come up with frameworks, social governance frameworks that could help educate the girl child so that they know the safe space with which to operate in and what is not safe for them. So I think for me, that is what is paramount, that we educate them, we ensure we support, especially with mental health, that we let them know what looks safe and what does not look safe, and we encourage the girls to also be smart. You know, I've been taking it as a joke, but I thought some of these things we take for granted, like martial arts. Yes, if you have a daughter who's going through school, how about registering even for martial arts? Maybe they would be meeting a predator who is even armed. But this basic defense skills, I think, also goes a long way. Yeah, so I think safety awareness cuts across, even personal safety, basic things like how can I even defend myself when I get to that point. I think that's what stands out for me. Yeah.
So you've taken it from the angle of us just empowering the girl child and teaching them what's right and what's wrong. What of the boy child now? Because we are not really mentioning about them, you know. So where do we pick up with the boy child?
So I think with the boy child, now the same parameters would cut across. Again, these people who, from the boy child aspect, if you're looking at the boy child being, because usually femicide would be the killer is a male, more often than not. So if you're looking at it from that point of view, again, it would more or less be the same parameters. What would be the target? What would be the incentive? What drives you to do such things? We have people who are serial killers. These are people who have mental health problems, and they're traced back, way back into history. So these are things that probably were left undealt with, and they have gotten into that. Or they could just be paramount criminals. A person who is just a criminal. Could be people who are after ransom. Most of the time, these crimes, even though in collaboration with the girls, they are committed by the male gender. Yeah. So I think from where I sit, it's still the same things. It comes to mentorship. It comes to how do we bring up these people, because it could be historical problems. How do we bring up our boys? What kind of mentorship are we giving them? Are we keeping open communication? Are we able to tell the mental health status of these boys? Are we able to tell the company they are keeping, for instance? Because people, when they get disturbed, they get into all sorts of things, looking for answers in all the wrong places. And I think also the government could play a key role. Just proper legal frameworks that could then cushion both genders against such kind of occurrences. Yeah,
I hear you on that. Now, over to you, Lucy. Probably, what's the best way to go about monitoring a child's behavior? You know, and maybe what are some of the things that should be telltale signs whereby you should be able to, you can be able to pick and know that, okay, probably my child is not doing very okay. Maybe there are things that are disturbing them mentally and whatnot. So probably monitoring behavior, what's the best way to go about it?
For example, I think for a parent or a guardian is always aware of how their children behave. So if they realize there is a change, maybe if the child has withdrawn, is keeping herself or himself off, and she doesn't want to be involved in the family calendar, then that parent or the guardian should know that the child has a problem. If the child has refused to eat, for example, or a youth has come home and she's not even willing to stay together with the family members, she's just withdrawn, she's not feeling like eating, she's blocking herself from speaking, that's an indicator that there's a problem that is taking place within her heart. Once again, you may find that this child is crying a lot or wants to sleep a lot, the way that she's not used to. Another indicator that this child is suffering. There's a problem. So at that point, I think the parents should come close to the child or to this youth and try to inquire what is the problem. You may not be, she or he may not get the direct answer, because the child or the youth, for that matter, may feel like, no, I'm not supposed to tell my mother. So I think in such a case, the parent should not go immediately to inquiring from the child or the youth what the problem is. So I think they should get close to the children or to the youth, become afraid. Not now like a mother and a daughter or a mother and a son. They're supposed to become friends within the home, such that if you see that behavior of your child or your daughter withdrawing herself, you are able now to reach her, ask her, why are you not eating today? It's already time for eating, you're not eating. Could there be any problem? And I think that way the child will feel. Then the parents should be able to assure the child that whatever they discuss will not be taken out, and she is safe in the hands of the guardian. So I think that way the child will be able to talk to the parent amicably without much struggle, and by and by the problem will be solved. I think so.
All right. Well, during this time, and this one is specifically for the youth, you know, the college-going and university-going young men and women. Of course, during this time is when they also want to be going for dates. You know, they have so much time on their hands. So you also want to go on dates. You want to know the new people. You want to get to meet this young man or this young woman. Probably if you can give us tips in terms of security tips on when one is going out on a date. Okay. Like, how do you stay alert in the sense that you also ensure you are safe?
Okay. So I think one of those is to make sure. So say, for instance, there could be different scenarios. So let's look at it from the scenario of an expedition or a camp, for instance. So they've gone completely out of town and down a camping spree. I think as a parent, from the security perspective, one of the things you could think through is ensuring they probably have personal trackers that are GPRS enabled. So, and they have the panic trigger capability. So in the event of, say for instance, they're at Hell's Gate or something, in the event of a security situation, they're able to press on the SOS trigger. They're able to ask for help. And security organizations like SGA, we have that capacity. We have control rooms, control room services, and we have response services that are spread across the country. So when they press on the trigger, that would be passed on to the control room and would be able to send response to help with such kind of situations. So the personal trackers, that's one way. We could also talk about just basic
allow me to interject a bit. Now, for those who are not able to go the technology way, maybe what's the best way to go about it? Because probably when we're talking about this, we're also speaking to someone who is deep in mashinani somewhere. So probably they don't have that privilege of having such heightened technology.
Okay, so even before we talk about the mashinani people, let's also look at people who are still within the town setup. We could look at a basic thing like just transport, the safe transportation, just them knowing how to ensure the safety even when they're en route, probably using Uber because the youth, not so many of them are able to drive their own cars. So you could even share their journey. There is capacity for technology so that you as a parent can be able to share in the trip and just know when they go off, when they go on. And you can also inform them of the security alerts to look at. For instance, if the driver deviates from the route, they need to be able to call for help and stuff like that. So looking at the setup of now the village. I think here, in this case, it's just making sure that your children are able to tell security threats. Just ensuring they have that emotional intelligence or that capacity to be able to tell a security threat. And that is through sensitization on what they need to be on the lookout for. For instance, girls, for instance, you're out, you're on a date, do not leave your drinks unattended because that could get spiked. And just such kind of basic knowledge, just letting them know, stay away. If it's somebody you're meeting for the first time, keep the boundaries very, very clear. You know, stay away from dingy or dark places, be in the presence of people, be careful to leave on time, probably have a clear list of the emergency contacts that you could reach. Let people know who you're meeting, where and when. In that case, it's very easy to be traced. I think those are the basics that could be cascaded down to the children and the youth as they go about their holidays. Yeah.
All right, we need to wind up on this conversation. Maybe if I may allow you to give your parting shots in the very least of words. Parting shot.
Yeah, I think children are gifts from God. That is Psalms 127. They are actually rewards from God. And I think everybody should take care of a gift once given. So for the parents and the guardians and the community at large, I think we should provide security for our children in terms of speaking to them, involving them in the community projects or even in the church. They're supposed to be involved. They should be given slots or period when they are supposed to preach and even perform in the church. When they do so, they feel that they are owned by the parents in the right way. So for us parents, let's take care of our children.
Thank you.
Show them love and embrace them. And they will grow in the right way possible.
Thank you. In the fewest of words. Fewest of words.
Okay. I think the children we are raising today are the leaders we'll have in the future. So my parting shot is just that for us to have them grow the right way, safeguard them and ensure their safety, there has to be collective effort and it has to be looked at from a very broad view. So government, guardians, parents, church, organizations, we all have to come together. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on the show, so thank you for coming. And this is where we end Good Morning Kenya for today, with that very informative conversation that we were having on safeguarding children and the youth, specifically during this time when they are on holiday. I believe that you have gotten to get a thing or two from this conversation. My name is Vivian Degwa. This is Good Morning Kenya. We do this again tomorrow, same time and place, God willing. Take care.
Change is here.
And this shift is about many things. The country's shifting.
This is Kenya's vision, the journey to development.
KBC is going to be the home to realize, to discuss, to share ideas about this shift and to know where our country is going.
We dissect the rumors. We clarify the perceptions. A clear picture of the status quo. Change is indeed here.